Big positive over here.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, time will continue to turn, but I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do.
Well, once again, you're not alone in it. So anything we can do to help you out. I'll speak for myself.
Yeah, no.
Y'all just forget about me.
Oh boy.
Just forget I ever happened. Down, down, down.
Maybe you and Little Chris can get it apart.
Yeah. We'll live that van life. He's looking for workers too. Anywho, so hey everybody. Welcome back to Chris Pranks and Iconoclast. I'm your host, Mike Lucht.
Big Mike!
Oh god.
Not Obama.
No. I'm joined by my co-hosts as usual. They are
Spencer.
Christopher.
Lowry and Wells, respectively. Today, my God, I hope this is, we're going to get as much as we can.
Dear God, please let it be over.
Yeah, I'm ready to talk about aliens. I've been immersed in the Manson world for so long, but
We
yeah.
keep thinking we're out, then they pull us back in.
Keep finding more shit. Make me angrier.
There's a lot of shit there.
So, yeah, once again, we're going to forego what's weird this week, try to cram all this in. Whatever doesn't get today, I'll do another 0.5 episode probably, and then after that, we're going to
3
discuss
monthly installments of $15.99 a month.
The next episode after this will be covering Dr. Seuss and his works appropriations by the pro-life agenda. Anywho, so today, starting off at in the night, you got some Dr. Seuss.
No, that's a carrot on a stick right there, boy.
I know, thank you. In the 1970s interview with Truman Capote, Bobby Beausoleil claimed Sharon Tate and that gang burned people on dope deals. They picked up kids on the strip and took them home and whipped them. Made movies of it. Asked the cops. They found the movies. Not that they'd tell you the truth. Dennis Hopper, our old buddy from the LC episodes, had this to say in an LA Free Press interview. They had fallen into sadism and masochism and bestiality, and they recorded it all on videotape. The LA police told me this.
Oh, Dennis Hopper, they told you this?
Release the tapes.
We can tell Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, the LA police.
Hey, it's Dennis Hopper.
They're like, hey, we got to go let Dennis know about this shit.
Who's he going to tell?
Yeah.
The LA police told me this. I know that.
Whoa, sir, you're not allowed in here. Don't worry, officer. I'm Dennis
Holds
Hopper.
on a badge. I'm Dennis Hopper.
It is just his face and his wallet. No, sir, right this way. We've been waiting on you.
Pictures of himself in his wallet.
Loved you an Easy Rider.
I know that 3 days before they were killed, 25 people were invited to that house to a mass whipping of a dealer from the Sunset Strip who'd given them bad dope. We will return to this potentiality. What we're going into today mostly is going to be alternative theories behind the Cielo Drive murders, as well as MKUltra adjacent stuff, but has connections to Manson. So just to kind of give you an idea. But one of the theories suggests that Manson was the ringleader of a hit squad dispatched to 10,050 Cielo Drive to execute a hit, taken out on Frykowski and Sebring. That would be Wojtek and Jay, respectively, once again.
Some hell of a names there.
Yeah, Polish people come into play as well. Another theory suggests that certain members of the Manson clan were victims of the recorded whippings, and that an enraged Manson sent his goon squad, not that kind, to Cielo Drive on a mission of righteous revenge. During the Tate LaBianca trial, Susan Atkins testified that that would be Sadie, I believe, that the motive for the murders was twofold. One, to get Bobby Beausoleil off using the copycat murder tomfoolery, and two, because Linda Kasabian, another one of the Manson girls, had been burned on an MDA drug deal.
MDA?
Yeah.
The drugs?
Yeah.
Similar to ecstasy.
Yeah, I know,
And
but
it's,
ecstasy was legal back then.
Precursor, yeah.
Well, this was what year was this? 60.
Yeah, because
68.
it
I
wasn't.
didn't think they didn't have MDMA until like the late 70s, right, or the mid 70s.
MDMA.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the precursor. It says in trial transcripts, Atkins quoted Kasabian, who complained that she'd been burned at the Polanski residence. She said, "You remember the $1,000 I had?" I told her, yeah. And she said, "Well, I went up to some people in Beverly Hills for some MDA, some new kind of drug, MDA. Anyway, she went up there to buy something and they burned her for the bread."
Went up there to buy something, they burned her for a bread. What can I say?
During a hard copy interview, Manson admitted having asked Leno LaBianca to hand over a quote-unquote little black book, a revelation which has led many investigators to speculate about a mafia hit taken out on the LaBiancas. When a realist editor named Paul Krasner, who will become a sort of reoccurring protagonist throughout this episode to a degree, asked Manson about this black book, Charlie wrote, "The black book was what CIA and mob market players had, Hollywood Park racetrack, and numbers rackets to move in the governor's office legally." I'm not quite sure what all that means, but I've kind of doubt the validity of the move in the governor's office legally aspect of it. That sounds more like Charlie blowing smoke. After the killings, Leno's former wife, Alice, was cleaning up pools of blood and writings scroll on the walls at the LaBianca house when she came across a little black book and turned it over to LAPD Sergeant Frank Patchett.
Pratchett.
There are also rumors that Manson and Leno LaBianca once had a hostile confrontation in Harold True's front yard.
Not a confrontation.
No, not with Manson. I'm sure everything he did was bebopping and scatting all over. In the weeks following the murders, detectives found themselves weaving through the complex maze of Leno's financial affairs. According to police reports,
he's something.
yeah, Leno was a chronic gambler with a $500 a day habit. At the time of his death, it has been alleged Leno was in debt to the tune of $30,000 to Frankie Carbo's mafia. Manson,
Frankie Carbo.
yeah.
You got to say like, hey Carbo.
Frankie.
Manson, it should be noted, previously hung around with Carbo in prison, as he admitted to Geraldo Rivera. I knew Frankie Carbo, or I knew Frankie Carbo.
Wait. Hold.
Frankie Carbo was Leno.
Beep.
Back it up.
Back it up.
Back it up.
You're telling me Geraldo did a fucking interview with Charlie?
Oh, yeah.
I never
Oh,
saw
yeah,
that.
I remember that.
Oh, fuck.
As there, yeah.
I gotta
This
check.
is Geraldo Rivera,
yeah,
and I'm talking to Charlie Manson.
I gotta check that out.
Leno gambled heavily in Las Vegas and apparently owed a mob debt from playing high-stakes poker. Frankie Carbo, known associate of Frank Costello, known, what's the word? I guess former mentor of Manson while in his prison days.
Allegedly.
Previously took Charlie under his wing as an apprentice.
Charlie was
Chillicothe.
the understudy,
Yeah.
so to speak.
And really-
'cause the mafia loves weird little...
Frank Costello has a whole lot more accolades than possibly
Hey,
tootling Charlie Manson.
Yeah.
Hey, Luca, you seen this new Charlie guy? I don't know. There's something about him. I kind of like him. Yeah, me too.
in his eye. I just love it. I like it.
He looks hungry. You know what I mean?
These connections
He
eventually
just gives me a
led-
good feeling.
putting all the ponies on
The
it.
way he shakes and jumps around and blathers on.
These connections eventually led some investigators to suspect the LaBianca murders were a contract hit and that Manson carried them out to raise money for Beausoleil's bail and defense.
Ooh.
According to Maury Terry, author of The Ultimate Evil, I don't think that the Black Book contained a hit list per se. I think more likely it was a ledger of who owed what to who, and it perhaps contained some incriminating evidence that could have been used for blackmail.
That is generally what the black books are.
Yeah. I also believe that when Manson went into that house and asked Leno about the book, that Leno, in pleading for his life, might have said that the book is up in a safe at my business.
It's up in a safe in my business.
And he was, you heard about this? You see this? And was killed anyway because we do not know that before, because we do know that before the police got there, the safe had been opened and all its contents removed. LaBianca was on the board of directors for a Hollywood bank the police believed was mafia connected. As a result of his murder investigation, several bank board members were convicted of fraud, and a friend of Leno's told officers he also thought LaBianca murders were mafia related. So even if like, this is just a side thing that happened that was just like extra fallout of the Manson murders, and that these people were indicted and convicted of fraud based on the Manson murders, which is just one bit of
Interesting.
crazy fallout.
Yeah, I didn't even know that one.
The weekend before Leno was killed, he was scheduled to meet with fellow board members of the Gateway grocery chain, but failed to keep his appointment. LaBianca was asked to resign from the chain, and his partners in the corporation, including his mother, suspected him of embezzlement. After LaBianca's death, $200,000 was found to be missing from the Gateway Market coffers. Prior to Rosemary LaBianca's death, she had accumulated an estate valued at nearly $3 million.
Not bad back then.
Yeah. A former divorcee with 2 kids, Rosemary worked as a car hop and cocktail waitress before hooking up with Leno in 1959. These fellas certainly have a type. After marrying LaBianca, she became a partner in a dress shop and began investing in the stock market. And to further muddy the waters, in 1987, a source informed Maury Terry that Rosemary had been involved in selling LSD, along with allegations that she'd also purchased a shipment of wigs from Mexico.
Wigs!
wigs.
Again with the fucking wigs!
That were smuggling drugs.
Oh, the wig that like hat
Oh,
boxes.
wait.
Yeah, wig boxes.
Oh, so there was like kilos.
There's all
in the
this
wigs.
hairdos and
That's
hairstylists
just the
and
fake
barber
head
shops and
that it's connected
Ooh,
to.
there's a hair in my cocaine. Throw it out.
At the same time, Tex Watson sold wigs in the same area, which may be another connecting
wigs,
point.
wigs, wigs.
Linking
Really?
Watson to the
like-
LaBiancas and Jay Sebring, who sold wigs in his own business while also allegedly dealing drugs.
I can't.
I see your keys, lover. I gotta go change wigs.
What a world back in the day where you
Right?
could just Tex Watson, a guy from Texas, in California, and he's like on the streets of California just selling wigs.
Well, shucks.
yeah.
In
I
the,
got these wigs.
Like he started with just a blanket on the ground with
Actually-
wigs plopped on them, and then he eventually got him a little folding card table, with
A rolly cart.
the little styrofoam heads, And
What are burned DVDs? I've never seen these before. In early 90s, researcher Bill Nelson interviewed Alice LaBianca, who spent time cleaning up the LaBianca house following the murders. Apparently, Alice discovered the placement of 6 logs on the floor in front of the fireplace, lined up in perfect order. On another occasion, Alice found a brass doorknob taken from the back bedroom inside the refrigerator. During Nelson's investigation, he consulted Dr. Howard Davis, a self-proclaimed expert on the Zodiac murders. Get ready for some Dunning-Kruger effect shit here. After joining forces, they began piecing together clues, we'll say, seemingly connecting the Zodiac and Manson family murders. Nelson asked for Davis' opinion as to the curious clues left behind at the LaBiancas. In regards to the 6 logs, it was Davis's contention that they were a message directly referencing Satanism.
Ooh.
As for the doorknob, he regarded it as a form of judgment that could be considered a warning. So, I mean, that's all pretty obvious, right? It all shakes out, pans out.
And real quick side note,
because you
Yeah.
go through doors.
I just wanted to look up Tex Watson interviews because I was like, was my impression of him correct? I don't know what Tex Watson sounded like, so I just wanted to
Could
look it up
be
real quick.
erudite.
But I did find that there is a book on Amazon that's Manson's right-hand man speaks out. A riveting 200-question interview with ex-Manson family member
Is it
Charles
called
Tex Watson.
Will You Die For Me?
I don't know. It's just called. I don't know. It just says that.
Just that whole thing.
That's
you
the
said?
title. Do you know how much it cost for a paperback?
A shitload, I bet.
$94
Yeah.
Gee
Dude,
whiz.
some of the books I found
for a
the-
paperback.
for the research we do in this show, like there's one we'll mention later on that's going for like $6,000 on Amazon.
The
Because
Diddy book?
No, it's written by a guy named Louis Tackwood, who was a police informant he was an agent provocateur who was hired by the LAPD. He started as a criminal informant and became an agent provocateur to like stir shit up, basically.
Well, it got a 1-star review on another page I found. Oh, and, he had kind of almost. I mean, it was more of the more like on Kingpin the haircut that Randy Quaid had.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had that
The
haircut.
Dutch.
The Dutch thing. It's almost an Edgar.
The Dutch Dyke.
It's kind of like an Edgar. It's the white people Edgar.
It's like a longer Edgar, yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's blonde. Yeah.
The obvious suspects for these warnings were, and by warnings, remember, we're talking about 6 logs and a doorknob in the fridge. The obvious suspects for these warnings were first thought to be Manson family members, but Nelson later fingered Susan Struthers LaBerge, Rosemary LaBianca's daughter, as the culprit. During this period, Alice LaBianca received a threatening phone call one day that persuaded her and the surviving family members to move out of their Waverly Street house. From unidentified sources, Nelson was told that Susan Struthers, that's going to fucking keep getting me every time, but not that one.
Not Sally Struthers.
Not Sally.
No,
Yeah, not
you're
Sally
mixing up
Struthers.
Suzanne
I know.
Summers and Sally Struthers.
That's right. That's
You're
what
mixing
I'm
up
thinking.
two names.
One is completely bangable still.
Well, you
Guess which one I think that is.
Sally.
For just pennies a day, you can feed some kids that no one gives a shit about.
Is she dead?
No. But Suzanne Summers is still alive. I know that. She's still hawking that, what's that? What's
Thigh
this thing?
master.
Yeah.
I wouldn't throw her out for using a thigh master.
Yeah, I'd like to master her thighs. At the time, Struthers was living with Joe Dorgan of the Straight Satans.
Not the gay Satans.
Totally heterosexual biker gang, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Later, Manson was asked by a BBC reporter
Well, why does it matter if he had a big cock?
that if he knew Dorgan, to which
Big,
Charlie
beautiful cock.
replied, "Sure, I know Joe Dorgan. He rode with us." As Nelson looked deeper into Susan Struthers' shady past, he interviewed a high school classmate of hers who told him that Susan's mother, Rosemary, dabbled in black magic. Probably not true. The informant knew Rosemary and Susan during the period they lived near Sunset and Hollywood Boulevards and believed Rosemary had, quote, brought it back on herself, the murders that is, and opened it all up with black magic. Nelson interviewed Struthers'
Done
ex-husband.
did it now.
Nelson interviewed Struthers' ex-husband Chuck Woolery,
Walt.
who claimed
Chuck
Susan possessed special powers of darkness, citing
I
two
bet he did the
incidents.
sea walk.
Yeah.
As Woke rubbed his arms during a chilly moment in their house, he saw that his wife was sinisterly smirking at him while freezing,
Susan
and he walked
smirked
away.
sinisterly.
She
Susan
Stared hoarsely.
smirked sinisterly.
Yeah, you triple S'd there.
Yeah. Oh, there might be some more of that. I like to alliterate
Sex workers.
typing. Yeah, she let out a sinister laugh, and so like from this weird demonic laugh, he gathers that she has strange powers. In the late 90s, an incident occurred between Struthers, now Susan LaBerge, and someone she shared property with in Ventura, California. Apparently, the two had a dispute. Afterwards, LaBerge was seen walking around her neighbor's house with her children in tow, performing some sort of ritual, quote-unquote, with sticks that they pointed towards the neighbor's house while chanting.
Guy was trying to cast a spell on me, you know, like a wizard or something.
Are you sure about that?
I don't know, maybe he was just waving.
Susan LaBerge appeared on blood diamond smuggling piece of shit Pat Robertson's
Punctuation
700
is important,
Club.
Mike.
Yeah, I know. The takeaway there is that LaBerge appeared on Pat Robertson's show and that Pat Robertson is a blood diamond smuggling piece of shit. And he hosts the 700 Club.
Amongst a lot of other things.
Yeah, but he's especially extra piece of shit because he's the host of the 700 Club.
He's in touch with the Lord, but he's not sharing it with the rest of us.
Exactly, yeah. They appeared on...
I get my diamonds weekly. What are you talking about?
She appeared on Tex Watson's behalf, proclaiming her love for Christ and forgiving the man who killed her mother. Bill Nelson speculates that LaBerge and Watson knew each other prior to the Tate LaBianca murders and that they have maintained a suspicious relationship over the years.
Ooh, suspicious.
Another believer in the Manson as mobster theory is Bill Scanlon Murphy, former Beach Boys session musician and friend of Dennis Wilson.
Yeah, he was mentioned before.
Yeah, shortly before his death, Wilson told Murphy, I know Manson didn't do it. He was an asshole and a criminal, but this family shit is all wrong. I know. Though Wilson didn't elaborate, Murphy's curiosity was piqued, and he decided to investigate over the next 10 years, which brought him into contact with various West Coast porn stars, mobsters, and drug dealers.
Fun.
The best kind.
Yo, that sounds like the Hollywood life right there.
Oh, God.
Murphy's thesis is that the Tate murders were an attempt by a band of late 60s petty criminals to muscle in on mafia drug dealing turf. I also highly doubt this hypothesis.
Yeah, the mob in that era, it was like loose in LA. Like that was one of the free territories.
Yeah.
It wasn't owned by any family. And from what I was actually listening to a thing about LA mobs the other
Yeah, it
day.
was still like expanding out that way, so there
The
wasn't
Wild
anything
West.
established. It was
Yeah.
like the West, yeah.
It was. They, well, and it,
Like
yeah.
Louisiana Purchase.
It's all the fucking, the asshole, just like in Vegas. They send the assholes out there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Casino.
you're exiled.
Yeah.
Yeah. From his mafia contacts, Murphy learned that Jay Sebring was Hollywood's main candy man, and his drugs were mob supplied. In addition, Murphy claims to have proof that Tex and other Manson family members visited the Polanski house for drug business prior to the murders. I would believe that. On the night of August 5th, Sebring was allegedly carrying $40,000 in drugs, so Tex and his cohorts paid a surprise visit to 10,050 Cielo Drive to rip him off. But shit popped off when Sebring and his friends tried to flee, hence all the carnage. In Murphy's version of events, Watson was the mastermind and ringleader, portraying Watson in stark contrast to the knife-wielding, mind-controlled Manson family killer he so
Now,
often is.
I've heard a few different accounts where it seems like Tex was more together than, I don't know, some of
Yeah.
them they're like he's completely fried on acid all the time and
Yeah.
he's just like a mindless drone. Others are like, no, this was a completely like functional fucking man.
Yeah,
I mean, god damn it, he's a Texan.
Yeah, there's
But
all
he
kinds
sold
of
wigs.
talk of like
Yeah,
there's
a
this
wig business.
perfectly normal boy from Texas who was a football player. As
'Cause he
soon as
was-
I hear football,
He was
player,
from
I'm like,
Frisco,
yeah,
wasn't he?
Denton.
Denton.
Yeah,
Okay. I thought it was Frisco.
nope. Well, according to these sources, it's Denton. And that'll come up a bit later too because of his court proceedings. Murphy said this wasn't a gaggle of countercultural weirdos. The so-called Manson family were petty gangsters with big dreams. When they told Charlie what happened, he freaked. He started swearing, saying, I'm just out of the fucking can, and you all are going to put me right back inside, you assholes. So, and that is kind of backed up by other sources that Manson did freak the fuck out about what they did. And
He
just
was
like,
born right
fuck.
here in Dallas, Texas
Yep.
in 1945.
Tex Watson. Then.
Grew up in Copeville.
Yeah, Cope.
Cope with it and then moved to Denton. Oh, wait. And high hurdles at Farmersville. That's where I spent Christmas. So, yeah, he's all over. And then
Smaller world.
and he went to college in Denton.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
There's a college there.
Yeah. So he's all around the outskirts of the D.
What is that?
Within the cock and
In
balls.
45, they probably had to drive in from fucking wherever the fuck just to go to Baylor or whatever,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Parkland, like just to go to a real hospital back then, you know?
From his investigations, Murphy claimed he'd been threatened by Manson supporters and the mafia, largely in part due to information obtained from a source in the California State Attorney's Office and LAPD, saying the authorities knew the real motive behind the Tate LaBianca murders, but chose to prosecute it as a sham, quote-unquote, serial killer cult trial to cover up involvement of Hollywood big shots and the mob. He says, I have it from the killers that they realized getting tried for mass murder as part of a psycho cult was bad. Boo, boo, boo. But pure bloody murder for financial gain was a sure way to get a ticket to the gas chamber. In late August, Life magazine writer Tommy Thompson, probably fake
Tommy
name,
Thompson. Come on.
Yeah.
contacted.
Come on. That's not his real name.
Yeah,
My name is Tommy.
My full name is Tom Lewis Thompson.
Tom, question you just asked me.
Yo, his parents were lazy
Thompson.
as fuck.
Yeah. He was contacted by Roman Polanski, known pedophile, and suggested he, quote-unquote, set the record straight regarding all the rumors surrounding the lifestyle of his dead wife and their friends. Roman agreed, and one afternoon, he and Thompson and a photographer visited 10,050 Cielo Drive.
So should.
Oh.
The first time Polanski had been back to the house since the murders. Along for the ride was famed psychic, quote-unquote, Peter Herkos. One of the first
Famously
guys we ever covered.
aforementioned. Yeah.
Our anniversary's coming up, guys. Who'd worked with police on the Boston Strangler case. Check out part 2 of our Herkos series. Jay Sebring and friends asked Polanski if he had any objection to Herkos doing a quote-unquote reading of the scene to possibly help identify the
I
killers.
need to be with her clothes.
Let me smell
The
his
dead
shoes.
woman's
I
clothes.
mean, since her shoes. And Polanski, non-pedophile, consented. Upon arrival, Polanski announced, "This is the world-famous orgy house." A little pedophile humor. At the front door,
Ew.
they noticed the faded word pig scrawled in blood on the door was still present.
Fuck yeah.
Polanski Polanski posed for photos, even sitting in the blood-splattered porch where Frykowski died. When Thompson asked how long Frykowski had lived there, Polanski answered, "Too long, I guess. I should have thrown him out when he ran over Sharon's dog." Jesus.
In the
Meanwhile-
driveway?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you're coming in pretty hot. You're fucking killing a dog in the
You
driveway.
keep an eye open, Frykowski. Meanwhile, Herkos was crouched
I
in
guess
the blood.
it's a good thing that kid wasn't born and running around, huh?
Yeah.
It would have had a world. It had, you got assholes running you over, and of course the old pedophile, you know.
Let's see. Meanwhile, Herkos was crouched on the bloodstained living room floor, tuning into the dark vibes. Afterwards, Herkos announced to the press that 3 men killed Sharon Tate and her 3 friends, and I know who they are. I have identified the killers to the police and told them that these men must be stopped soon. Otherwise, they will kill again. The killers, Herkos added, had gone berserk on megadoses of LSD, which erupted in a black magic ritual called Guna Guna.
Those are Herkos' words.
And just
Yeah.
so you know, the
Yeah.
Guna
From his
Guna
vision.
ritual, you have to have a dead squirrel on the ground. You put a picture of B. Arthur on it, and at least 3 men have to masturbate and ejaculate at the same time while saying Guna 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 Guna
And
Guna.
it's 7 logs, not 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
What are
7.
they expecting to happen here if they don't get it right?
7 log abs.
B. Arthur.
The Life article to set the record straight, quote unquote. Give me, hold on. Can I see your lighter real quick?
What do you? Oh,
Get a drink.
I also have a bottle of
That'll even work better.
There you go. What are you highballing? Did somebody buy beers that you stole?
No, they just left it in my house.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, basically. There you go.
You got beers. Spencer's got candy. Everybody's packing. it
Right. Post-holiday
fuck.
stress relievers.
up. Pill bottle,
That's
bro.
not great about it.
It's empty. Old.
I don't want to know what medication was originally in that.
The Life
Some
article
shit for
to,
That's a lot.
or Madonna.
That's a lot of it.
To set the record straight, turned out to be mere media voyeurism and did nothing to dispel the many rumors of strange happenings leading up to the murders. Thompson said Roman didn't know what was going on at the house while he was away. All he knew was that one of his beloved Poles, Frykowski, was staying there.
Wait, Poles is in Polish or Poles is in penis?
Probably both, knowing him and what they were getting up to.
He's a creep.
Apparently, like, Polanski had, like, a real soft spot for his people and would, like, let them, like, if they were a Polish brother or sister, come on in.
Soft as a
baby's bottom?
boiled cabbage.
How many more years was it
I like
before
yours better.
he had to flee the country?
I think that was in 75, I want to say.
So not
I
long.
may be wrong on that, yeah. But, like, and what's weird
De
is
Niro
that, like,
helped get him out of the country, is what I heard.
De Niro, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jack Nicholson had a little bit to play in that as well.
Ugh, creeps.
Yep, they stick together. Sharon probably knew, but she was too nice or too dumb to throw him out. If any creeps or weirdos went up there, it wasn't on Sharon's invitation. Herkos made the Tate murders his last case as the psychic stress, quote unquote, of reliving the gory events physically wrecked him afterwards.
Piece of shit.
I get the bullshit like I used to.
Yeah.
Let's see. Apparently, Herkos was under police orders to keep his results secret until all of Manson's appeals had been heard by the higher courts. But a story was leaked on his psychic readings before the arrest of Manson and his girls, stating that the murder was a bearded man named Charlie with the initials DW, perhaps Charles D. Tex Watson. Even a supposed psychic clock is right twice a day. During the Tate murder investigations, LAPD began questioning psychics in hopes of turning up new leads. At that time, researcher David St. Clair interviewed an anonymous psychic claiming that 3 officers came to her house displaying grisly photos of the Cielo Drive murders. The psychic projected vibes at the photos and got the name Charles Manson. Allegedly.
Carlos Manson.
Dirtbag John Phillips even got it in the act when he and a reporter visited a voodoo astrologer. Which is, oh, God, that's
Let's
perfect
just
for, like,
mix and match some bullshit.
Yeah. That's exactly what I think a shitty high school guidance counselor would tell someone to become. who informed them that the midnight of August 8th to 9th was the perfect time for a sacrifice. It had been said that Frykowski's Canadian drug dealing associates, had been involved in Jamaican dope peddling and were part of a
dope peddling.
Cool runnings.
of a Jamaican voodoo group.
Jamaican Canadian?
Yeah.
A Jamaican weed smuggling team?
Jamaican-Adian?
You know, John Candy is there teaching them how to smuggle drugs.
Jamaican bacon.
How?
Like Cool Runnings, the movie.
I'm trying to.
John Candy.
I get it. I'm trying to formulate a Jamaican Canadian accent, but it's not working.
Hear me now, that's as close as I can get.
Yeah.
Whenever I do an Irish accent, it ends up sounding Jamaican. Ah, fuck.
God damn it! Get your candy off the computer, Spencer.
I got a lot of candy.
These motherfuckers got. I can see grease stain. Are you been putting sausages on there too?
Fuck you.
He did make spaghetti before coming over.
Yeah.
He smelled delicious when he first picked
He
me up.
smelled like ground beef when he picked you up.
And sweet Italian sausage. Hang on a minute. Hang on, you dicks.
Love sweet Italian sausage.
Yeah. Now, we made pizza at my house the other day. Oh, it was badass. Homemade pizza. Good stuff.
Did y'all make the dough or did you buy the dough?
Bought the dough, but we had a whole... You want to make some dough for me?
Go ahead and bleep that one out.
You're going way past. Way
Oh,
past.
shit.
Go back up.
God, I was hoping
I
we
just
were
saw
near
black
half.
bisexual men.
Keep going up.
Undercover brothers. Oh my
Hold on,
god.
go back.
You're gonna need part 6 and 7 on this hoe.
Nah. It's just big type.
And technically, we ain't been doing Manson that long. We did
Yeah, it was
Laurel
just 'cause we did
Canyon.
Laurel Canyon.
This is all like a
Came into
spin-off. It's like
Yeah.
spin-off to spin-off.
There we go. Here we go.
We're on Mork and Mindy season 7 now, all right?
Yeah.
You
Nanner,
flew to
nanner.
Jamaica, man.
Somehow, a Jamaican voodoo group was connected with the murders, and that there were indications of one of the voodoo practitioners had threatened Frykowski a few days before the murders. Later, Polanski and Phillips flew to Jamaica, supposedly to continue their investigation
They
on
have voodoo in
drugs
Jamaica?
and voodoos. I'm fairly certain at least half of that's true. Several unsolved murders. Excuse me. Several unsolved murders have been linked to Charlie's family, specifically the hack job done on 17-year-old Marina Habe, whose body was discovered on New Year's Day, 1969, off Mulholland Drive. God damn, my voice. Excuse me one second.
Yeah, I'm a little scratchy today, my damn self.
Yeah.
I feel
Habe
fine.
had contusions to the eyes and over 50 stab wounds to the chest and neck. She also had been raped and had burns all over her nude body.
Eesh.
Investigators later learned that Habe had associated with Charlie's family. It may also once again be where they know that Habe's father, Hans Habe, worked in the field of psychological warfare. Nothing to see here. Go back to sleep. On November 3rd of 69, as Charlie and the girls were being held in Los Angeles pending trial, another dead young woman, Jane Doe number 59, was discovered in almost the exact same location as Habe's body. A brunette in her late teens who had been stabbed 157 times. I believe we mentioned
Jesus.
this body
Similar.
before.
Fucking
Similar.
Christ, 157 times?
Yeah, that is the
That is,
definition of
if you're
overkill.
stabbing once a second, that's 2.5, like damn near 2.5 fucking minutes of fucking
I mean, you
stabbing.
would exhaust yourself before you'd have to stop, take a break, rest your arm, or switch arms or something.
I think
you know.
there's a boner component to that kind of thing.
You think somebody jizzed a little bit?
Probably in the
Or at least got some pre-cum going
Yeah.
on?
November 5th, 1969, a suicide call was placed from a Venice Beach house. When police arrived, they discovered Manson family member John Philip Hott, a.k.a. Zero, on a bedroom mattress with a bullet lodged in his head. According to those present, including Bruce Davis, Little Patty, Country Sue, and Cappy Gillies, a few Manson followers, Zero had been playing Russian roulette and lost, but unlike the traditional method of one single bullet in the chamber, Zero played with all the chambers loaded but one, essentially reducing his odds of surviving to, perhaps ironically enough, 0.
Well,
No,
it's 1 in 5.
Yeah, I know. I like the joke.
I mean,
on
that
the
was
name.
like okay,
Better than the lottery.
I'm sure you laughed to yourself when you wrote that.
Yeah,
you know,
I-
like you're
I
like,
smirked a
ha,
little.
ha, ha.
But
That's-
what if he already got the blank the first time and then he had to do it again? You know, like be extra traumatic.
Yeah, why would you keep going after that? Because it's obviously not going to be the. Who knows what these
There's
acid heads are thinking.
what is this Russian roulette game that my boy plays on Roblox, where you like have to
What?
load the gun and you can put like blanks and live rounds in the shotgun, and like you shoot, like it's like you and another player, and you just like
I don't even
there's
know what the
different
fuck's
little-
going on with this Roblox stuff.
there's little puzzles you can
That's a
do,
kid's game,
like to win who gets.
Luna
who
just got
gets
a
to
gift
shoot
card
who,
for it.
and it's like foosball. It has the little circular tiles on the string.
What
you know,
the
you just
fuck?
slide one over when you kill the guy.
Parents, are you listening?
It's not gory. Like you just shoot him and then the person disappears into blackness.
Oh,
like
yeah.
there's
Oh,
no
like in
like
real life.
yeah.
there's no like they just go away. You know.
Well, that's not realistic. It doesn't teach any good lessons.
But
Yes. You need the cartoon mayhem and violence to show what really happens when someone gets hit in the head with a frying pan.
That's why Luna. I've let her
Takes the
play
shape
Grand
of their
Theft
head.
Auto once. She enjoyed it.
yeah, fun game.
Gotta have an outlet.
I've been wanting to get GTA 5 now that 6 is about to come out.
Yeah, that's what I rock, bro.
November 21st, two Scientology members, 15-year-old James Sharp and
Nuh-uh.
18-year-old Doreen Gall, were found dead in a Los Angeles alleyway, each stabbed in excess of 15 times. That's nothing compared to Jane Doe 59, I guess, but whatever.
Yeah.
When LAPD detective Earl Deemer arrived on the scene, his first reaction was, the people who did this did Sharon Tate. This murder was later attributed to the Zodiac Killer. Prior to her death,
What?
Gall had been moved into a Los Angeles Scientology commune house
The
at...
Scientology commune.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they got those.
Shit.
Yeah, that still happens. Scientology commune house at 1032 South Bonnie Bray, where Bruce Davis, Manson family associate, had formerly lived. Reports placed the Manson family bus parked on this street on several occasions. While Davis admitted to living in this Scientology commune, he denies ever meeting Doreen Gall. Joel Pugh, Sandra Good's former alleged husband, Sandra Good being another Manson family associate, flew to London in late 1968, accompanied by Bruce Davis. On December 1st, 1969, Pugh's decomposing body was discovered in London's Talgarth Hotel. That's a British name if I ever heard one. His throat, party on Talgarth. His throat was cut with razor blades. There were slash marks on both wrists, and his blood had been used to inscribe backwards writing on a mirror in the room. So
That was-
probably a suicide, I'd say.
That's interesting. It's pre-Shining,
Oh, yeah.
pre-Red Drum.
Murder.
Yeah.
Let's see. Scotland Yard ruled the death a suicide. Yep, knew it. But later, when Inyo County DA Frank Fowles learned of the death, official inquiries were made through Interpol to check Davis's visa to determine his whereabouts. Officials confirmed Davis had been in London on April and at a later date as well. Davis was next reported in Los Angeles in February of 1970. After Davis was indicted by a grand jury in the Hinman murder, Gary Hinman, he disappeared again, resurfacing next on December 2nd, 1970, 4 days after Manson defense attorney Ronald Hughes also disappeared. After Squeaky Fromm and Sandy Good vacated a hotel room in Independence, authorities found a letter written by a former Manson family member stating that, quote, I hope what happened to Joel Pugh doesn't happen to me. On December 1st, the same day Joel Pugh's corpse disappeared in London, L.A. Police Chief Ed Davis announced that Ed Davis. What was the really famous LAPD chief name? Was his
What?
name Davis also?
Wayne Day. Wait, I don't know. Back when?
Like during the time of the riots.
You mean Ephraim Davis?
Yeah, of the Kentucky Davis.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Let's see. L.A. Police Chief Ed Davis announced that his department had solved the Tate murder case and that warrants had been issued for Tex Watson, Patty Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian. Davis said indictments would be issued for 5 more individuals and that the Tate LaBianca murders were linked. This last revelation came as a surprise since LAPD had maintained from the start that there was no connection between the two cases. In October, when Tex Watson returned to his hometown in Denton, Texas, locals observed a change in Tex, quote unquote. One friend remarked that he seemed to, quote, have a tornado in his head. In late November, the long arm of the law finally caught up with Watson, and he was placed in custody by his second cousin, Tom Montgomery, the sheriff of Denton. Yeah. When the LAPD attempted to extradite Watson, His attorney was unable to fend off extradition for several months.
He was able.
Yeah. This caused a separate trial for Watson as authorities were unable to return him to L.A. in time for the first Tate LaBianca trial. In late 69 through early 70, Manson family members moved into a Van Nuys house, and it was at this time that little Paul Watkins, and you're going to have to excuse me from here on because if I accidentally interchange Watson and Watkins, it gets confusing. So,
Unforgivable.
yeah. Watkins temporarily rejoined the group. Although Watkins, with Paul Crockett's help, had seemingly extricated himself from Charlie's programming, evidently this separation had not been complete. After all they'd been through together, Watkins felt he owed Charlie's family his support during the difficult period leading up to the Tate LaBianca murder trial. It's a real difficult period, what with all the murders. As well, Watkins...
People just be dying, man.
Yeah, what the hell's going on? Watkins still had an affinity for his former guru, as Charlie had basically groomed Paul Watkins to be his successor. Short bros stick together.
You mean not groomed?
Well, I don't know how old this Watkins guy was at the time, but it could be in that sense.
No, I mean they didn't bathe. They're a bunch of dirty fucking hippies.
Okay.
I
went the darker.
Was
place
that a
with it.
pun? Was that a pun? Play on words? I don't know. Either way,
Triple entendre?
Either way, dirty fucking hippies
Over the next,
and perverts.
Yeah.
So it could be either.
Over the next several weeks, little Paul met Charlie in jail to discuss defense strategy and help his girls secure lawyers. Meanwhile, Watkins reinstated quote-unquote therapy sessions to initiate/brainwash new recruits via the MKUltra spawned dark arts of fucking on acid. In February 1970, Bruce Davis was arrested in Inyo County on auto theft charges, resulting in
That's
little
next
Paul...
to Nacho Canyon. Inyo Nacho.
Ouchio?
Yeah.
These theft charges resulted in little Paul being subpoenaed to testify. Watkins hitchhiked to Inyo County with new family member Ginny, who just happened to be carrying 24 tabs of acid with the intent of slipping some to Davis. This plan, little Paul assumed, was a way of testing him because Charlie suspected Watkins of being a spy. During the proceedings, Watkins pled the fifth, pissing off Inyo County District Attorney Frank Fowles. Without Watkins' testimony, they'd be unable to convict Davis. At one point, new Manson family member Jenny tried to slip Bruce a tab of acid. Bruce dropped it on the courtroom floor, but before anyone could react, he scooped it up and gobbled it down. Meanwhile, a cop seized Jenny's purse and discovered another acid tab. She was held for 2 days, then released.
You let me down, Bruce.
Damn it, Jenny. In March, Inyo County authorities learned that Watkins' name had been added
Inyo
to
County.
Don't let me down.
Have been added to the
Bruce.
infamous Manson family hit list. 3 days later, Watkins was rescued by a friend from a burning Volkswagen van and taken to L.A. General's Hospital with scorched lungs and burns to his face, arms, and back.
Ugh.
Needless to say, Watkins steered clear of Charlie's family from that point on. In the spring of 1970, Manson sent some of his girls down to the L.A. sewer tunnels to see what it would be like to live there. Later, Davis...
Heard about these tunnels downtown, man. You got to go check them out. Maybe we can crash.
Later, Davis, after his indictment for the Hinman murders, fled into the sewers to escape the law until he surrendered later that year. The Mansonoids even had a plan to break Charlie out of jail and flee into the sewers, where they would ally themselves with the Chuds and await the coming race war between the Mole Men and Ninja Turtles. In May, Paul Crockett... Nothing? No? Okay. Sorry, my underground brain went...
Crockett?
Turtle power.
Yeah.
What? Oh, Ninja Turtles.
Living in the sewer.
What is it?
People do live in it.
Underground.
Actually, it's Vegas where people live.
Yeah,
in
Las Vegas. The Las Vegas
What does
mole people.
Chud stand for?
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers.
Yeah.
In May, Paul Crockett, Brooks Poston, and Paul Watkins were in Shoshone when they ran into Clem and Gypsy. Clem told Watkins
Took a left turn back in Shoshone.
in Worcestershire. Clem
Worcester
told,
sauce.
Clem told Watkins that Charlie says that when he gets out of jail, you all had better not be around in the desert. Okay? On May 31st...
Stay out of the desert.
It's mine.
Punks.
On May 31st, Death Valley Rangers discovered the body of a quote-unquote hippie in the sand dunes northeast of Stovepipe Wells. You wearing a big hat? There you are. Okay. The dead man
Stovepipe Wells.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to get a little more wine.
Yeah.
Cajun chef
And
over
his
here.
great grandson is sitting right here with us.
Sitting right here with us.
Yeah.
Old Stovepipe Wells.
Stovepipe. Well, I'll take that.
The dead man was dressed in overalls with long black hair and no ID. The corpse was never positively ID'd, nor was the actual cause of death established. Weird. He must have been fucking corpse the fuck up. While there was no proof that this person was a Manson family associate, Charlie's family had been present in Death Valley at this time. Later that year, the National Park. Yeah, it's
I hear
a
in
big
Death
valley.
Valley, if you die, like your body will get like mummified just from the
Yeah, it's just
dry
dry.
heat.
Yeah.
You know, like your
It's-
body will desiccate before it'll rot.
You're
in
like
It's
blood.
like the
The,
opposite of a bog mummy,
Yeah.
basically.
Dehydrator. It's like turning you into jerky.
Human jerky, yeah.
Natural mummy, yeah, mummification.
I'd eat human jerky.
Oh, yeah.
I've already said that
I don't
before.
think it'd take much for me to eat a human.
No, it wouldn't take much at all.
Later that year, the National Park Service learned that Gypsy and other family members were in Goler Wash with two young filmmakers
Wash.
named Robert
Sounds like a
Hendrickson.
medical procedure.
Yeah. I hope my Goler's
I
clean.
wonder if he soaked human meat in milk overnight. You know, like you do with like sweetbreads or
It's not
something.
kosher, I know that.
It would take out the like aspirin and fucking Xanax and shit that's all in your bloodstream,
Well-
like
Wanna keep
medications
that?
and stuff.
Well, it's just right before you slaughter an animal, you're supposed to, feed them just like a pure diet.
Yeah, but
for
I
like
mean,
a
if you
couple.
just,
Oh, you talking about just killing a regular ass human?
yeah,
Well, hopefully you would get one that's not heavily medicated.
like if I mean, if you didn't have one like just a normal, like you just got to pick somebody out of a crowd, chances are they'd have shit in their bloodstream.
I know,
You may not
but-
want to be putting into your
Yeah,
bloodstream.
I know. I don't want
This
you.
is why RFK needs to hurry up and get up
Yeah,
with that shit.
yeah.
I think if
I don't
want
to eat a human that's been eating Red 40. Okay.
Yeah,
Red
or like
40
a
and-
like a dope fiend's fucking muscles, dude. I mean,
I'd
what
rather
would that
not have a
taste
bunch of
like?
Zoloft in my brain.
A fucking
you know?
tweaker,
Fuck.
you know, like they're all like desiccated for years, and
That's
dried
the
up.
fattest crackhead I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Later that year, the National
be
Park
stringy.
Service, or no, wait,
Anyway.
yeah, they were hanging out with filmmakers in Goler Wash. These two filmmakers, Robert Hendrickson and Lawrence Merrick, were working on a Manson documentary. Since commercial photography companies operate under Park Service permits, and because no such permit had been issued, park rangers approached Gypsy and the film crew, informing them of the policy violation. In response, Gypsy launched into a vociferous tirade that culminated with, quote, "You're the hunters and we're the hunted, but you got a mark on your head, and someday we'll be the hunters and you'll be the hunted."
Your head has a shell on it.
Good one, Gypsy. The end result of the Merrick-Hendrickson collaboration, titled Manson in 1973, featured several segments with Squeaky, Brenda, and Sandy brandishing buck knives and firearms in quote-unquote urban guerrilla hot pants. In one suggestive scene, Squeaky...
Urban Gorilla Hot Pants.
Yeah, I know. That's the new Aeropostale fucking fashion for the season.
That sounds actually pretty cool.
In one suggestive scene, Squeaky fondled a rifle and babbled, "You have to make love with it."
I actually saw the thing
Yeah.
with her and the knives the other day.
This footage is actually kind of...
They put it on the that thing that I saw on the TV.
Yeah. Let's see. She says, "You have to make love with it. You have to know every part of it. To know you know, it is to know it."
To know you know it is to know.
Jesus Christ, hippie garbled bullshit.
So that it could pick up at any second and shoot it. In 1977, Merrick, one of the filmmakers, was shot dead at his Hollywood film school by an unknown assailant. Following the Tate LaBianca trial, a slew of Manson family-related B-movies were released in an effort to cash in on the tragedy. Easily the classiest production to emerge out of this deluge was Wade Williams' The Other Side of Madness, a fairly straightforward reenactment of the tumultuous days leading up to the Tate LaBianca murders. In 1970, prior to the film's release, Roman Polanski and Warren Beatty, old fella from the LC, attempted to buy all existing copies and destroy them, or though copies of the film do still exist. In 1971, Charlie's old jailhouse pal, Phil Kaufman, contends there was never any physical evidence connecting Manson to the murders. Nonetheless, Kaufman suspects that Charlie, quote-unquote, planted the seeds and manipulated his murderous minions. Manson may have cut off Gary Hinman's ear, says Kaufman, but he was too smart to ever personally kill anyone. Kaufman looked after some of Charlie's girls following Manson's arrest, mainly because he thought they were innocent of the crimes. Later, when the names of the perpetrators were released to the public, He realized he'd had sex with the Manson murderesses.
Yeah, drink a water
Yeah.
or a beer. And I'm sorry. I had to pull up pictures of Squeaky Fromme again, and she's just
very
looks
plain.
librarian or
Approachable.
Yeah.
I mean, she looks like she's supposed to be the secretary.
The hot librarian.
The grateful type.
Yeah, and
No, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that.
yeah,
Terrible.
she probably was grateful, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, that's how Charlie got them all. I mean, he told these girls what they needed to hear.
Hey, you're a little bit
basically.
ugly, but you're pretty, you know.
I mean, they're like Idaho 6s trying to be LA 5s, you know? So.
The prettiest Denny's waitress.
Or the prettiest. Never mind.
During this period, a guy who lived on Kaufman's property named Einstein Eddie, probably not his real name, alerted Phil to some strange doings are transpiring during his absence. Some people, this is a quote, some people are crawling over the wall, and every night at midnight, they crawl to your house, and then they just leave. Kaufman, who figured it was probably Charlie's family behind these midnight creepy crawls, excuse me.
It's like they're playing night crawlers.
Yeah. Whatever the rules of that game are.
Yeah.
He decided on his first night back to stay up, and sure enough, the midnight Mansonoids came crawling over the fence. When Phil asked just
How do you
what
crawl
the fuck,
over a fence, I wonder?
like you just
slink over
just-
like a
Well,
piece
if you're
of
not
spaghetti.
good at climbing, you crawl.
they probably looked very Spider-Man-ish, I'd assume.
Yeah.
Well, that and they're all fucking high as shit.
Especially on a
too.
head full of
So
acid,
they're
yeah.
like, they're moving very carefully, and
barbed wire.
They're moving slow while everything around them is moving fast at normal speed.
yeah.
Let's see. When they came over the fence, Phil asked what the fuck they were doing, to which the creepy crawlers replied,
Hey, what the fuck are you doing?
"Hey, I'm here. I'm home.
I can see you.
Yeah. You can see us? Let's see. He asked them what was going on, and they asked Phil Kaufman to release the Manson EP that he'd earlier produced. This is like the only known outside of a vault and cached away anywhere like music of Manson's at the time. Kaufman was the one basically responsible for every bit of music, largely in part, from Manson that we've heard. Then Einstein Eddie came running from the driveway, butt naked, carrying a loaded shotgun. Once the Mansonoids saw this weird guy, balls flapping to and fro, they asked, "Are you going to fuck us or shoot us?" Kaufman then told him to get the hell off his property. A little from column A, a little from column B. Told him to get the hell off his property and go out the way they came, crawling.
Crawl back over that fence.
Yeah. As they started
Crawl.
across the lawn, Eddie fired a shot to make them dance, and they quickly crawled out backwards post-fucking haste.
I mean, I
Quickly
couldn't imagine
crawl.
being on LSD
Quickly
and somebody
crawl.
shoots a gun. You're just like, oh.
I need a fresh change of draws.
I'm gonna crawl.
So here is what I like to call the real weird shit. This is where we get into some strange connections. Another counterculture personality who entered the Manson family sphere was writer Paul Krasner. He's the editor of a magazine called The Realist. Krasner had written Manson in prison seeking material for a book he was working on called The Parts Left Out of the Manson Case. "Call Squeaky," or "Call Squeaky," Charlie replied. To break the ice, Krasner brought along several 300 microtabs of acid, which he, Squeaky, Brenda, and Sandy dropped. During the course of Krasner's research, he became aware of Charlie's involvement with Scientology and that there had been an e-meter at Spawn Ranch. Krasner learned that Charlie had visited the Scientology Celebrity Center in L.A., where they get their superpowers, mingling with rich and famous Scientologists.
Yeah, if you're a stupid fucking hippie walking around and there's these assholes fucking standing outside, because I sent y'all pictures when I was there, and they are just still standing outside the building every fucking day,
Just looking for lost souls.
trying to drag in. But the funny thing is them having to deal with the real schizophrenic homeless people, like on Hollywood Boulevard. It's fucking, that's the funny part. But
God, man, I wish I could just watch them say, like, "We can fix you," and then just the ensuing chaos.
well, they know there's no money there.
yeah.
So that I think
Yeah.
I think they know, don't bring in the homeless people, okay? Don't bring, unless it looks like, unless they're a tourist that had been paid to get here, don't bring them in.
You want to look for people wearing Tommy Bahama shirts, things like that.
Yeah.
Krasner also obtained a copy of the original Scientology log entry, which read 7/31/68, new name Charles Manson, I think it was no address, info processing, or no address, info processing plus ethics plus type 3. Yeah. Apparently, the classification type 3 identified the subject in question as quote unquote psychotic. So they do have their little codes and whatnot. Seeking more information, Krasner visited Warren Hinkle, the editor of Scanlon's.
What is it?
Scanlon's. I've never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Who was working on an article about Manson. Hinkle pointed Krasner in the direction of Hal Lipset, an LA private investigator, who informed him that not only did the LAPD seize pornographic videotapes from the Polanski house after the murders, but that certain LAPD officers were selling these videos on the black market.
Well, I mean, fuck, if you're a goddamn drunk cop
Yeah.
and you find this porno of some famous people
From one of the most notoriously corrupt police departments, I'd be like,
the most notoriously corrupt police department.
show me your badge.
Famously.
Okay.
There is like literally no other police department that is known for as much corruption as the LAPD, except for maybe, I don't know, maybe Russian, but in America,
Yeah, in America, no.
yeah, NYPD or LAPD, but really it's LAPD because they had way more years of less oversight.
Yeah.
Again, Wild West.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons at some point in the future I'd love to cover that Carl Tackwood or Lewis Tackwood book, because like it lays out like shit that's going on to this day with like police departments. And
I am
how they-
unaware.
He wrote a book called The Glass House Tapes that's like all about like the participation and interchange between like the FBI. He uses the LAPD because that's where he is, for example, but the LAPD, the CIA, COINTELPRO, and like the tactics that police use to this day all across the country.
Oh yeah, they suck.
Yeah. So Lipset talked with one source within the LAPD who told him exactly which porno flicks were available. A total of 7 hours, selling for $250,000.
It's a lot of jacking.
Yeah. Among these videos, the most notorious allegedly featured Greg Boutzer, an attorney for Howard Hughes, fucking the former wife of a certain former governor. Also included in this video collection was Sharon Tate with a popular singer, Sharon Tate with Steve McQueen, and another featuring Tate with two black bisexual men. Lipset informed Krasner about a videotape involving Cass Elliot in an orgy with Yul Brynner and Peter Sellers.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, probably would too. Just to see, history being made. Brynner and Sellers, it might be recalled, were part of a group offering a $25,000 reward, or bounty, if you will, for the capture of the Tate killers.
It is interesting.
Yeah. This disclosure regarding Mama Cass particularly upset Krasner, as he and the late singer had been good friends. Later, Krasner tracked down a reporter who told him that the LAPD had shown her video porn starring Susan Atkins and Wojtek Frykowski. When Krasner posed the question to Manson, did Susan sleep with Frykowski, Charlie replied, "You all are ill-advised and misled. Sebring done Susan's hair, and I think he sucked one or two of her dicks. I'm not sure who he was talking out from her stars and cages. That girl loves dick, you know what I mean, hon? Yul Brynner, Peter Sellers?" Like, no one knows what you mean, Charlie.
One or two of her dicks?
Yeah.
Her dicks.
He sucked one or two
That's
of
the
her dicks.
operative.
Well,
phrase there.
that's.
It's
I mean,
Charlie Manson.
he was
quote.
ahead of his time because there's a lot of girl dicks now, apparently.
In an interview with Ronald Reagan Jr., yes, this happened. In early 1990s, Manson stated that his conviction for the Tate LaBianca murders was really about missing videotapes, which showed Peter Sellers and Yul Brynner, quote-unquote, gobbling each other's knobs.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Gobbler's Knob is the name of the town on Groundhog's Day. It's Gobbler's Knob.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Well,
Gobbler.
it's Punxsutawney, but the Gobbler's Knob is the place where they're having the festival in Punxsutawney.
Thank you for correcting me.
Yes.
Well, you weren't wrong. We were both right.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
In Five to Die, Arthurs LeBlanc and Davis wrote, reporters who were scouring every possible source for film of the Manson family in later days said that they were cautioned that if they ever ran into a certain footage of motion picture film in which numerous statutory laws concerning oral copulation, sodomy, and all-around lascivious conduct were flagrantly violated in a succession of scenes featuring the same cast of a dozen men and women,
Yeah.
the law would be deeply indebted for the return of the film because that's what's going to happen if someone finds
Okay,
it.
real quick fun fact. There is a Gobbler's Knob in Texas.
Of course there is.
Huh.
76802 is the zip code.
That's not far away.
It's not.
We should go check that place out. According to the story, to
Gobble, gobble.
cinch its investigation of the wild criminal activities
Gonna
going
be
on
cold.
at the Spawn Ranch, the law had sent in an undercover man the last few days before the raid. The undercover man was convincing enough as a hippie with his shaggy hair and fragmentary beard, but Charlie Manson's initiation process forced the man into a difficult position. Either he joined them in a sex orgy and break every known sex law himself, or he would give himself away as an outsider, aborting his mission. Unfortunately, perhaps influenced by LSD-laced drinks, he chose to stay and play, and doubly unfortunately, this particular orgy, whether by chance or due to a suspicious hunch that clicked in Manson's keen mind, was filmed in its entirety. The participants easily identifiable. Could it be that the fear of such a film popping up in the hands of the defense made the district attorney's office decide, in the interest of justice, that the raid could not be prosecuted? So we're talking like straight up potential blackmail shit here. Like they might have a fucking, a lawman on film participating in an orgy. It's a tough decision. Slippery slope, precarious precipice, whatever you want to call it. Prior to the Tate LaBianca murders, Krasner met an individual named Billy Doyle, who I believe we've talked about before a little bit, I think in our LC, through Mama Cass. At the time, Doyle had just arrived from Jamaica, man, and during breakfast one morning, Doyle, Cass, and Krasner sat around a table talking about the music scene, drug use, and political activism. Doyle liked to portray a tough guy air of mystery, and he's quoted as saying, "We all know about you," he told Krasner. He said, "You better watch your step." Doyle was allegedly Frykowski's main drug connection. Sanders, author of the Dune Buggy Attack Battalion, Garbage People, etc., he said, sometime during the first week of August, a dope dealer from Toronto named Billy Doyle was whipped and video buggered at the Tate residence. In the days before his death, Sebring had complained to a receptionist at his hair shop that someone had burned him for $2,000 worth of cocaine, and he wanted vengeance. Billy Doyle was involved in a large-scale dope import operation involving private planes from Jamaica. According to Sanders' account, Sebring and Frykowski tied Doyle to a chair, then whipped and sodomized him while videotaping the event in front of an audience. Police later eliminated Doyle as a suspect. According to a detective, Mike McGann, assigned to the murders, he said, "We're investigating the incident. It hadn't taken place at Cielo Drive, but at Cass Elliott's house, and didn't involve either Sharon Tate or Jay Sebring." So essentially, yes, it happened, but wrong place.
Yeah.
Wrong time.
All right.
So, according to Jay Sebring's hair salon receptionist, her boyfriend, Joel Rostow, delivered cocaine and mescaline to 10,050 Cielo Drive on the night of the murders.
Nice.
During the Tate that's a mix, Jesus. During the Tate LaBianca trial, several Sebring associates were murdered, among them Rostow. Krasner suspected that the Manson family had served as an underworld hit squad. Once again, we have another person who's on the Manson Mafia train. In the last week of life, Wojtek Frykowski appeared out of control. One day he showed up at a scumbag John Phillips' house demanding to be let in. According to Phillips, Wojtek seemed slightly incoherent with a bizarre presence about him. John Phillips says, I quote, "I wouldn't let him in, but he insisted. I just didn't feel right about it. He was rumored to have weird drug connections and was part of the crowd that had been feeding off Cass. I apologized and closed the door in his face." Good one, John. Way to take the moral high ground.
See, I kind of believe, I won't say organized crime, but semi-organized, because that's the thing. If you're in this scene, organized crime and money involved in drugs is like the main fucking thing you're dealing with.
It's not like the necessarily mafia organized crime.
No, but you're all
there
trying.
Is organization.
Yeah, everybody needs fucking money to survive. Even if you're a goddamn broke ass hippie.
Oh, especially.
You need to fucking you eventually figure out the game, and you figure out, hey, I gotta be a little tough in this. Yeah. Especially fucking 5'2" Manson.
Yeah.
I'm 5'4.5", and I had to get a little tough sometimes, or at least I thought I did. I imagined I was.
You gotta project it.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. So 5'2" Charlie, I'm sure he was all over that.
Mhm.
You know, it was, and even if he had these weird ideals that he projected to his peoples, in reality, he's still just a fucking criminal. Like the
Yeah.
dude grew up in the
Oh, yeah.
system. He is entirely just trying to be fucking a criminal.
Oh yeah, yeah. He, man, he's a bit of a salesman. Let's
So
say.
that part, it tracks to me. Like
Yeah.
it being some sort of like, really not ideological thing tied into it, or you mix the ideological just to get the idiots to go do the shit.
Yeah,
But really,
Because
it's
if you know
drug debts.
if you have a steady supply of people who are looking for something to believe, like you know that they are looking to latch on to a fucking like an ethos of some kind, then yes, fucking that's easily exploitable.
And you get them to latch on because you still know that almighty dollar
yeah,
is the
that
one
big
that
green titty.
really controls everything.
Let's see. While visiting Cass Elliot at Caesars in Las Vegas, John Phillips happened upon this same bunch. It was Phillips' opinion that this group contributed greatly to Cass's deterioration, plying her with drugs and sucking off her fame and fortune. She was supposed to perform that night.
I saw sucking off on the screen. I was like, where are we going here?
She was supposed to perform that night, but was a total wreck. In her dressing room was a guy named quote-unquote Billy, seated over an immense block of Iranian hash, which, hey, there's an Iranian connection. I don't know, like, when was the Shah deposed? 69?
No, it was after that.
Okay.
It was in the 70s.
Close enough. In her dressing room was a guy named Billy.
No,
with
Iran was still pretty. Would you say Iran or Iraq?
Iran.
Iran was still pretty swinging about that time.
Okay,
It was
yeah.
they were go-go boots and all kinds of shit, bikinis.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Iranian women in bikinis. Love it. Let's see. He
Big
had
bush.
He had an Iranian hash the size of a cheese wheel. When Phillips saw the huge hunk of hash, he became enraged. In between sets, Phillips confronted Billy and blamed him for Mama Cass's deteroration. Billy.
For hash, it's not like it's heroin.
Yeah, I know. What the hell?
I hear Iranian
Come on,
heroin's probably
John
pretty
Phillips,
good.
Chill the fuck out. Let's see, Billy perhaps could have been Billy Doyle or another shadowy character who we'll discover later on named William Mincer. In his pursuit to get to the bottom of the Manson murder mystery, Krasner hooked up with noted conspiracy theorist Mae Brussell, my homegirl. When asked if she knew anything about the Manson case, Brussell replied, "Of course, the so-called Manson murders were actually orchestrated by military intelligence in order to destroy the countercultural movement. It's no different from the special forces in Vietnam disguised as Viet Cong, killing and slaughtering to make the Viet Cong look bad. Charles Manson was a patsy."
Oh, we don't want to make the
identical-
Viet Cong look bad.
Yeah, like you need any help. Charles Manson was a patsy identical with Lee Harvey Oswald, Sirhan, or James Earl Ray. The Manson thing was a hidden war against the youth culture. People sharing their housing, their food, their cars, recycling their old clothes, make your own candles, and turn off the electricity. It was an economic revolution affecting everything from the cosmetic industry to the churches. Now, Mae Brussell presents an idea I didn't even think about in the whole LC thing, is that these were, this was communism in effect. I mean, you're living in communes, communism in effect. So,
But
there is
but in reality, they were capitalists because they still had to buy drugs. They had to fucking
Oh, yeah.
and they lived in when they could, bleached in mansions.
Yeah.
They lived the high life. I mean, the ranch wasn't that great, but it was still a movie
Yeah,
ranch.
and it was all like, I don't know, it's like they resorted to communism to make money. Well, quote unquote communism. They resorted to communist tactics, I guess, to save money for drugs, depending on where the source was they were getting.
I mean,
their
I don't know the full breakdown of all that, but like anarcho-collectivism or something like that. I don't know. It's all fucking stupid to me. Cash rules. Everything around me. Cream. Get the money.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Brussell put Krasner in touch with a man named Preston Guillory, a former deputy sheriff in Los Angeles, who informed him, "A few weeks prior to the Spawn Ranch raid, we were told that we weren't to arrest Manson or any of his followers. We had a sheaf of memos on Manson that they had automatic weapons at the ranch, that citizens had complained about hearing machine guns at night, that firemen from the local fire station had been accosted by armed members of Manson's band and told to get out of the area. Deputies started asking, why aren't we going to make the raid sooner? I mean, Manson's a parole violator. We know there's narcotics and booze. He's living at the ranch with a bunch of minors in complete violation of his parole. deputies at the station, quite frankly, became very annoyed that no action was being taken about Manson.
Let's go fuck up some hippies. That's what the man. Come on, let's go fuck up some guys. I don't know if they weren't. What would the cops have sounded like in Southern California in the 1960s?
Bro, like, we gotta go get these hippies.
Let's go get these fucking hippies. It's a little Southern, little surfer, little I don't fucking
little
know.
establishment.
I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll never know.
My contention is this. The reason Manson was left on the street was because our department thought that, or no, I'm sorry, this is his continued fucking thing. This is not my contention. My contention is this. The reason Manson was left on the street was because our department thought he was going to launch an attack on the Black Panthers. We were getting intelligence briefings that Manson was anti-black, and he supposedly killed a Black Panther. That would be Lotsa Papa, the guy that I think we mentioned before, like a drug deal went wrong, and it supposedly led into the Hidman murder. But Manson was a very ready tool, apparently because he didn't have some racial hatred and he wanted to vent it. But they hadn't anticipated him attacking someone other than the Panthers.
So they're like, let's just let this play out.
Pretty much, yeah. Let's see. You have to remember that Charlie was on federal parole all this time from 67 to 69. Do you realize all the shit he was getting away with while he was on parole? Now, here's the kicker. Before the Tate killings, he had been arrested at Malibu twice for statutory rape. He never went to jail. Manson liked to ball young... Oh, God, I hate that term, ball. Fucking...
What? Did you write that?
No, this is the guy's...
Oh, okay. I was about to say,
yeah.
You wrote ball young girls?
No. This is the dude's quote.
I was
from
about to say, stop it.
Preston
You're
Guillory.
fired.
Yeah, no, I would never...
Never write ball young girls.
Manson liked to ball young girls, so he just did his thing and was
Not
released.
Not a quote from Mike.
No, and they didn't put any parole on him. But somebody very high up was controlling everything that was going on and was seeing to it that we didn't bust Manson. Now, you may remember from previous episodes we talked about the MKULTRA connection.
Asset.
To the,
Asset.
Yep. Throughout the 60s, agent provocateurs were used to infiltrate/sabotage radical activist groups at the behest of the FBI/LAPD and other law enforcement intelligence agencies. The Black Panther Party was the primary target of these operations. Other radical groups like the Yippies and the Weather Underground were targeted by the FBI's COINTELPRO, and Manson may have very well been used in this manner as an agent provocateur.
COINTELPRO was created as a means of monitoring communist activities in the U.S., but quickly came to encompass radical groups like the Panthers. COINTELPRO used questionable tactics to secure information, including wiretaps, fabricated publications / false letters to agitate radical leaders. Yes, you get them all hyped up, agitated. Infiltration of group meetings, which they do that. They did it up to the 90s. Well, Tim McVeigh,
Supposedly in QAnon too.
And they still do that. And I will say January 6th. And the Black Lives Matter protests.
Yeah.
There was definitely some random guys throwing bricks through windows that were not protesters. But anyway, where am I? Oh, and the leaking of information to the press for the purpose of creating opposition among various radical groups. COINTELPRO agents raided safe houses and activist headquarters, jailed and killed prominent leaders in the youth movement, particularly members of the BPP, Black Panther Party.
I had a fight in the middle of your Black Panther Party.
COINTELPRO activities extended to other black leaders like Martin Luther King, who the FBI attempted to frame in a sex scandal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, do we know he wasn't a philanderer? I'm sure he was a philanderer.
Probably.
He's a human.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King was allegedly assassinated by James Earl Ray, another probable patsy of intelligence agency tomfoolery. Is tomfoolery like that's how you spell it?
You can call it shenanigans.
Okay.
No, that's how you spell tomfoolery.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Also in on that act was the CIA's Domestic Operations Division, who as far back as 1967 had begun a surveillance program against the Panthers.
Yeah, I didn't even know that the CIA had a domestic department. I mean, their whole remit basically
There is supposed to be not.
Yeah.
They are not supposed to be domestic
Yeah,
at all.
Operating on U.S.
But I
territory.
mean, it's the fucking CIA. What are you gonna do? You know, bitch to George Bush about it.
Yeah.
Oh wait, he's dead.
Is he?
Yeah, I mean, he was like fucking. He's old. Jimmy Carter died. Let me keep going.
Yeah.
During the early 1970s, Vacaville Medical Facility, I'm guessing Vacaville Prison, later housing Manson, was designated as maximum psychiatric diagnostic unit. Oh, that's a tongue twister there. A behavior modification operation that allegedly produced mind-controlled assassins to kill prominent blacks, including Black Panther Party leaders Huey Newton and Bobby Seale. According to researcher Alex Constantine, CIA agent Colston Westbrook was in charge of this program, which produced the group of prisoners who formed the Symbionese Liberation Army. Yeah, recently.
Yeah.
This group included
They're in there too.
Donald Letteries.
Oh, DeFreeze. Sorry.
Typos.
Yeah.
Okay. Who kidnapped Patty Hearst and led the SLA to a fiery demise. Good old Patty Hearst. DeFreeze described his incarceration on the prison's third floor, where he controlled or corralled. That's not how you spell corralled. Corralled? What do you got going there?
Corralled?
That's not how
It
it's
should
spelled.
be corralled.
I don't think it's spelled like that way.
Way
Anyway,
to go, spell check. You fucked up on that one.
yeah, corralled by the CIA agents who drugged him and said he would become the leader of a radical movement and kidnap a wealthy person. After his escape from Vacaville, a door was left unlocked for him. That's exactly what he did. Eventually, even brainwashing Patty Hearst and once again proving that
Spencer?
MKUltra people, MKUltra people.
put it on a fucking t-shirt.
God damn it. Yeah. So, in recent years, similar evidence has come to light suggesting Jonestown was a possible CIA mind control experiment that self-destructed, and when many of Jones's followers refused to swallow the poison Flavor Aid, to be a pedantic asshole.
Get it
about
right.
cocktails, they were quote-unquote mass suicided by bullets and or hypodermic needles filled with deadly drugs delivered via Jones's minions.
Well, they used guns at some point too, didn't they?
Oh, most
A few guns.
They were
yeah.
constantly armed.
They
They had to shoot Jim Jones in the head because he tried to get out of taking the poison.
Yeah,
He was trying to get away.
Oh.
And his own people shot him in the back of the head.
That was in his very last, talking like a weird old...
So, wait a minute, this is real.
Good. They should have shot him in the gut so he'd bled out slowly.
Let's see. Jim Jones entertained a long association with the U.S. intelligence community. To a lesser degree, Manson may have been playing the same shadowy role. If mass mind control experiments exist on the level that some suggest, then to conceal/protect the true participants involved in these crimes, scapegoats must be offered up to the nightly news sacrificial altar. Enter Jim Jones, Donald DeFreeze, David Koresh, etc. Or, in a similar vein, James Earl Ray or Lee Harvey Oswald, possible patsies one and all, offered in sacrifice to placate the dumbed-down masses. Manson might have been just one such construct, a myth created to explain the creation of zombie automatons programmed to kill. You know what? The more I was thinking about it, we're talking about fucking Luigi Mangione. A part of me thinks that,
Is he MK Ultra?
No, but Brian
No,
Thompson...
what's the newest MK Ultra?
It's the same thing, I bet.
No, I bet they got a better
they have
drug.
Probably a cool name.
They have
for
a
it now.
way
Yeah,
better. They have something.
They're on MKUltra 11 now.
Yeah, they've got a way. They've got some kind of
Operation Moons over.
They've
Miami.
got one of them Chinese research chemicals or something.
Yeah.
They're using K2 now.
People be dying and flipping out left and right, jerking off in the street. I was thinking about Brian Thompson. It was like, there's so many people pissed off about healthcare. Maybe this was just one
controlled opposition.
Let the pressure valve off, and it's like, yeah, fuck those guys.
Yeah,
and so
I'll keep paying my
Let
premiums.
the liberals have one, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But why? You may be screaming out loud to no one in particular as they make irritated faces while quickly walking away from you. Well, let's have homegirl Mae Brussell lace you up and put you down with the scoop. Brussell contended such incidents as the Tate LaBianca murders or Waco, Oklahoma City, etc., were part of what she calls a strategy of tension, the end result of which is to create an atmosphere via the test tube creation of mass murderers and killer cults where the political spectrum of the country is moved farther to the right, quote-unquote right, This in turn would lead to an erosion of civil liberties, justification for stripping away our constitutional rights, and eventually the construction of a police state. Some would say we've come a long way towards fascism, or perhaps a fascist theocracy. That's me. I put that in there myself. But since Helter Skelter came down on August 9th, 1969, others would even suggest we've reached a point of no return and propose that we're desperately in need of a great reset, whatever the fuck that means.
The funny thing, all that is like, you had the whole, California Uber Alles.
Yeah.
1979.
Is that when that came out?
Ish.
Yeah.
70, I believe 78 through 80, somewhere in there.
Mm.
I don't know the exact date. But Jerry Brown, the hippie fucking, and that's the thing. You talk about fascist state, but also liberals.
Yeah.
Liberals create their own fucking fascism.
Oh, yeah.
In the state of California, where you can't fucking park a truck on a street without a fucking permit.
It's like they're all
to move your shit.
It's like they're all working for the same game.
Yeah. Well, everybody wants control.
Yeah.
Make no fucking mistakes about it. Everybody wants to control. It's just a matter of who is vying for control for whatever their reason is.
And I have an idea for
But it's all fucking fascism.
I have an idea for a future episode, possibly, that goes into this and towards, like, aliens and disclosure, because I'm seeing, like, two warring narratives here between what I'll call the Collins elite, who are, like, the Christian people who are, like Jack Parsons and all
Bill
these
Collins?
Satans. No, it's named for some town in some fucking county. I don't remember what, but
Okay, leave Phil Collins out.
But yeah, no, he's fine.
Philadelphia Collins.
Yes, it's Philadelphia Collins.
But that son of a bitch, goddamn Steve Winwood, drown him.
But it's basically the Stargate conspiracy versus this other conspiracy of the Collins elite for, like, who controls the narrative of alien disclosure, etc. Because so many people want to say, like, they're demons, but then there's other people who are saying, like, the whole, like, once aliens come, like, they bred us, they created us, it's the Anunnaki, technically they are our gods, etc. So there's, like, these warring narratives in alien disclosure, but I digress.
I still believe the aliens, like, your general people would be like, oh, they're kind of Nazis. Like, they are. They are cold, calculated.
It's weird because when you look into all the data that's available, you have these, like, rapists, like, eugenic, like, hybridization.
Cold, calculated, and practical.
But you... Yikes. But you also have, like, all these stories that are like, oh, the aliens cured my cancer. There's, like, tons of stories where people are like, yeah, they cured my disease. Like, I used to have...
I had a bat baby.
Yeah, exactly. There's that, too. Fucking, like... Or, like, we're part of their family. Like, they showed me the baby I made with them, and now we're related. So it's sort of like, will you excommunicate the Trumper from your family, but they're aliens? Like, it's kind of it's like a exponential version of that, but that's down the road.
Let's get there.
Oh, yeah. Brussell, May, in an article titled, Why Was Patty Hearst Kidnapped?, outlined the quote-unquote strategy of tension in which groups like the SLA, Symbionese Liberation Army, participated either wittingly or unwittingly. The SLA's role, according to Brussell, was that of agent provocateurs, baiting members of radical groups to join the revolution and trying to draw these groups into violent action, which in turn would justify the subsequent assassinations of radical leaders at the hands of the establishment. In the mid-1970s, a brief alliance between Charlie's family and the SLA was formed with designs on engineering Manson's escape from prison. Sacramento police detectives estimated Manson family members and SLA associates in jail had accumulated $1.5 million over the course of 2 years using a sophisticated credit card scam in California, Oregon, Nevada, and Arizona.
The alliance between them was actually them all just hanging out and being high. And you're like, oh, we should totally bust Charlie out. I mean, we're doing this cool scam where we get this money. Yeah, sure, it's for Charlie. But, hey, I'm going to go buy a new van.
We need him. He's got the name recognition.
Yeah.
Theoretically, Charlie's family were utilized in the same manner as the SLA to create a quote-unquote strategy of tension, thus inciting a race war in the U.S. that would in turn provide a rationale to dismantle the Constitution. Brussell listed several goals to be achieved by the creation of such an elaborate conspiracy. Now, this idea of strategy of tension, the modern iteration of which, as far as I can understand, like most recent history, this would go back to the post-World War II Operation Gladio. Now, for those who don't know, I'm not going to get super into it, but Operation Gladio was essentially, this is where we get werewolves.
Yeah,
the Nazi
refresh
werewolves.
my memory. I don't remember that one.
This is where we get Nazi werewolves from. Like, the werewolves and several other teams, like, this was in, former Axis powers,
what was
especially
that? Castle
Italy.
Wolfenstein or something?
That was the sequel. No, this is like, particularly in Italy, is where Operation Gladio was set. But it's basically
GLADIO.
you leave behind these Allied/Axis powers stay behind teams.
Yeah.
Because this is after Operation Paperclip, post-war.
So the war, the fascists lost.
Yeah. And then communism is obviously becoming a
creeping
thing.
in.
Yeah, we need to worry about, etc. So the Gellenorg, which was a Nazi spy master who brought all his people over into the U.S. in Operation Paperclip, they basically started forming these quote-unquote stay-behind teams in various former Nazi-occupied or Nazi-controlled, we'll say, places like Poland, various places that became part of the Balkans and the USSR.
I would say control strongholds.
Yeah. And it was sort of basically to suss these people out, but it's also Operation Gladio specifically, which was centered in Italy. Like, Italy was quickly becoming one of the main world superpowers that may fall to communism. And Alan Dulles and the CIA were like, fuck that. So we
need our fucking pasta free.
Yeah, they fell back on Reinhard
And when I say free, I mean with cash.
They fell back on Reinhard Gehlen and his already pre-existing spy group who was embedded in all these, like, soon-to-be potentially communist countries. But where it gets really complicated is that, like, the Vatican is involved.
Of course they're involved.
Yeah. Then there's also, like, well, who's going to pay for this? Because as the CIA, we have to keep this secret, and we can't exactly ask Congress for the money. So where are we going to get the money? Oh, hey, how about this guy named Lucky Luciano who's willing to sell heroin and cocaine for the U.S. government to basically provide us with the money to do these fucking operations.
Wait a minute. No, by this point, what year were you talking about?
47-ish.
That was when Lucky Luciano, he got sent back. Yeah. He made it out of prison because he helped the Allies get into Italy during the war. And he was on I believe it was like a 30 or 60 year sentence for propagating and pimping.
Yeah.
Pimping and pandering, excuse me. That's what they call it here. But it was a pimping charge. Interstate trafficking of women is what he...
The Mann Act.
Yeah, the Mann Act. He violated the Mann Act, and they stuck it to him because they knew he was a mafia boss. He was the boss.
Yep.
But he worked his way out of that sentence by helping the Allies during the war. So you're saying... What are you saying?
That basically, basically I'm trying to outline the I don't know, the play of the strategy of tension in that, so they had this idea and the Operation Gladio thing that took place in Italy, like, this is the most concise modern term of how we've seen this played, because this is kind of an old-timey play. Like, I could see this taking place in countries beforehand, but the way it would work in America is taking it from how things worked in the Operation Gladio in Italy is that transfer that to America in the 1960s. Yeah. The play would be create national fear of terrorist organizations and future kidnappings accompanied by increased bombings, discredit communes, escalate domestic race war between blacks and whites, increase public and private public forces or police forces and security agencies, turn the population into informers who turn each other in, and leak demons / the devil to communists, radicals, leftists, and deviants from the official government line and virtuous right-thinking Christianity synonymous with guns, apple pie, capitalism, and strong-arm police state tactics. Now, if you're looking at the Operation Gladio in Italy as it was performed, once again, a lot of it was under the official byline of let's suss out these people who, you know, it's post-World War II. We may have some like lingering fascists and Nazi sympathizers.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever we can do to get in there and
We don't have that
these...
anymore now.
Yeah, no, what? Whatever we can do to suss these people out.
Yeah.
Is the CIA's thinking. But at the same time, it's also like give us an excuse to have a prolonged presence. And this is why some people think this is why that a lot of the reason that America still has, well, let's say NATO or the Allies, basically. Like America has missile bases in tons of countries.
Yeah.
But if any other country tried to do that in America, fuck no, that would never happen.
No, we're big dick America.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you mean?
So
We're
it's like
big dick America.
You have to create the reason why A, we're sticking behind, and B, like just there's a leftover lingering reason why these people need to be there.
World War I and World War II, they slept on America. They didn't think we had it. We had it.
Nope.
We came with it, and now we got it. So
plus all and GLADIO gets extra complicated because you bring in factors like the Vatican and then Lucky Luciano selling heroin and cocaine. And that's about the same time when the mafia, for a long time was like, don't sell drugs. But
that was pre Luciano was selling drugs pre the mafia saying we don't sell drugs.
And that's why he was kind of an outsider.
Yeah, he invented the mafia selling heroin. Like he literally did invent the mafia selling heroin in the fucking 30s, I believe. So it was, that was the thing. It wasn't until I believe the 50s or 60s that they were like, we're not gonna do that anymore. Sell it to the blacks, like that.
Yeah.
That was Godfather. That was set in the 50s, I believe, 40s, 50s. During the first Godfather, when they were having the debate about the fucking
maybe early 60s.
It was. I think it was 50s. It was
because
the cars. It was 50s cars.
Okay.
Yeah.
JFK was assassinated in 63. And it's weird because also JFK's assassination and RFK play into this as well because, obviously Joseph Kennedy was a bootlegger. He worked with the mafia for years, so they made all their money. And as soon as Johnny and Bobby got in power, they flipped on the mafia and they were like, oh, fuck. And apparently...
Well, but that's what got him elected.
Well, yeah, exactly.
The mafia got him fucking elected.
They were intimidating people at voters' places or whatever. Like, if you look into, there's another...
But that was like way early. Well, that was 50s, right?
I think that was his presidential bid.
I don't think
they probably helped him come up.
I think they helped him come up before that. I don't think it was a presidential bid.
There's another classic bit of conspiracy theory literature, quote unquote, known as the Gemstone File, which the Gemstone File basically lays out like a secret history of America. And supposedly, according to the Gemstone File, a mafia tactic for people who have like betrayed you is to kill them and
jizz on their butthole.
Close. Steal their girl. And supposedly...
That's not mafia. That's just life.
Well, supposedly... See, the reason they
I'm
bring
gonna
it
steal
up
your girl
is because Aristotle Onassis is the man
it's
who ended
cuck holding.
Yeah, Aristotle
That
Onassis.
is the ultimate cuck.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill... I'm not just going to fuck your girlfriend. I'm going to murder you.
It's insult to injury. Yeah. And Aristotle Onassis ended up marrying Jackie Onassis. He was like 30 years older than her.
Yo, that fool's name was Aristotle.
Yeah. Aristotle. And he owned a private island named Scorpios. He's a real life James Bond villain. And a lot of people speculated that he was very high up in the mafia and that because of the betrayal that the Kennedy brothers perpetrated on the mafia is that Aristotle Onassis had something to do with his death and then basically married Jackie O afterwards. It's like, yep, that's how we do it. That's according to the law of the land.
All right. Well, I just had to look up Aristotle Onassis. That's interesting. I'm going to have to look in Greek business. I didn't know she was Greek.
He's Greek, yeah.
Well, I mean, Jackie is his daughter, right?
No, that's his. They married after JFK was killed. He married her.
Well, why did he take her last name?
That's not her last. She became Jackie Onassis.
What was her maiden name?
Oh, shit.
God damn it.
Bouvier.
Bouvier.
Yeah, I think so.
That's not fucking foreign at all. That's French, I guess.
She was also like American aristocracy, basically.
I mean, they all
like she comes from a rich family.
Damn, we need a fucking goddamn gymnasium to put the fucking
of red string.
We need all the walls in a full-size basketball court with little tiny print and pictures to link all the strings and all the pictures and all the people.
I was looking at the thing about the Gemstone file before I came here and just
The Righteous Gemstones? Danny McBride?
No.
Good show.
But yeah, from what I've seen.
It's good.
But no, yeah, like what's his name? The guy who went crazy and wore tissue boxes on his feet.
John Candy.
Howard Hughes. Close. Howard Hughes like is involved in all this as well, and like the Mormon church, and just like it's such a complicated, weird story. And the more you hear about like the Mormon church being involved too, it's like I don't know, every time I hear about Mormons, there's a fucking crime connection. Yeah. In 1971, Ed Sanders was working on a follow-up to The Family called The Motive, a project he later decided to drop in fear of his life. When Paul Krasner asked him what was the motive, Sanders cryptically replied, "Ask Peter Folger."
Ask him.
Abigail Folger's coffee tycoon father.
Ask Coffee Boy.
Yeah.
What a bitch move. I want you just ask him. Ask him what it's about.
While researching The Family, Sanders told Krasner he had received the mafia, quote-unquote, kiss of death from Peter Folger's lawyer. Ugh. Given these circumstances, Krasner began to suspect that Abigail Folger's death might have been on account of her political leanings, as she had been an ardent Tom Bradley, first black mayor of Los Angeles, supporter, despite protestations of her father, a reputed racist. When Sanders advised him to, quote-unquote, ask Peter Folger, Krasner at first assumed that Folger had conducted his own murder investigation and that he had answers. Later, Krasner suspected worse, that Folger might have actually had his daughter murdered due to her support of a minority cause, as well as shacking up with a drug-dealing foreigner. Granted, this is a far-fetched theory, but the deeper Krasner looked into the Tate LaBianca murders, the weirder things got. As Krasner's research took an ever more bizarre twist, he began analyzing Folger's television commercials and became convinced that Peter Folger was using them to program viewers with racism or depicting black folks in a negative light. I tried to find old Folger's commercials, but I could find none. So, I mean, other than being like, I don't know, probably the guy who served the coffee.
They didn't like black coffee.
I hate black pepper.
Black as midnight on a moonless night.
Yeah, steers took us. The biggest lead in Krasner's research came when Mae Brussell informed him that a naval intelligence agent named Nathaniel Dite, does that sound familiar to anyone? He was brought up in the LC, had associated with Tex
so many
Watson.
goddamn names through our Laurel Canyon. There's all these fucking...
They all did.
They all did it. It was all of them. He had associated with Tex Watson prior to the murders. Aha, thought Krasner. L. Ron Hubbard had been with Naval Intelligence. The Committee to Investigate Assassinations had also linked Lee Harvey Oswald.
I forgot he did that.
With Naval, yeah. There's the whole, like...
That's why he liked the yachts.
Yeah, and there's the whole reason that he got involved with the OTO and Jack Parsons was allegedly because he was sent by the U.S. government to break black magic, quote unquote.
No, he was into that shit.
Oh, yeah. Dude, Jack Parsons jacked off while he was like, doing psychic bullshit, supposedly.
Yo, we live in the wrong time, I guess, you know?
Yeah, if only I could, not quite that, but...
If only I was a sick fuck set about 50 years before time, I could have just really ruled over some shit.
Rule the roost. Even the infamous Zodiac killer had left obsolete naval intelligence ciphers. Dite, Brussell claimed, was a postgraduate at the Navy's Monterey Language School where only intelligence officers were admitted. Dite had used the cover of a quote-unquote hippie artist while working as an undercover agent provocateur to infiltrate Charlie's family. According to Brussell, Dite was the Manson family's main drug supplier. After the murders, Dite, quote-unquote, cut his hair, put his shoes back on, and returned to the Monterey Language School to set aside his hippie guise, which has served its purpose. Prior to shedding his hippie trappings, Dite had done artwork for an underground magazine that Brussell asserted was a conduit for CIA funds for medical research and mind control, intelligence money for electrode implants and for LSD experiments, according to documents she got from the Pentagon. Mae Brussell was a vociferous, she's one of the first people who really made use of the FOIA Act, Freedom of Information.
Fuck off, asshole.
Yeah. Well, yeah, close. You missed an I in there.
Fuck off in asses.
Mae Brussell was alluding to MKUltra. The CIA's covert mind control experiment started in 1953 under a program exempt from congressional oversight. Agents and psychiatrists involved in MKUltra tested radiation, electric shock, microwaves, and electrode implants.
All
on
the most
unwitting
fun
subjects.
things that could happen to your testicles.
Including prisoners at Vacaville State Prison, Manson's future home. And you can add Uncle Ted Kaczynski and Whitey Bulger into that
Uncle
mix.
Ted. And the Whitey, like that's a real interesting one. Like that's a real interesting one.
Especially when you count his relationship with the FBI over.
Well, and his most untimely demise in the federal prison system. Just I would say it's recently. I was in federal prison while Whitey Bulger got murdered.
That's
and
right, I remember you
and we were all like, man, how the fuck did that happen? Like, how the fuck did they move him to somewhere where he literally within like 8 hours of hitting the camp, or not the camp, the compound, he was fucking lock-socked until his eyeball came out.
God damn, that's what happened to him?
They lock-socked him and tried to cut his tongue out.
Jeez, okay, that screams volumes of just like, don't talk, motherfucker.
Well, it's it was the guy that did it was a mafia hitman. Basically, he was already doing life. Really wasn't no shit off him.
Yeah,
no sweat off most of the time, from my understanding, you stab somebody in the feds, you get about 45 days in the hole, and then you get back out. He murdered somebody, so he'll probably do about a year in SEG, get moved somewhere else, and then be fine.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
For those totally oblivious to the world around them, the Cliff Notes version of MKUltra's ultimate goal was to create sleeper agents who could be awakened by post-hypnotic command, a la the Manchurian Candidate. To this end, the CIA tested a wide range of drugs and psychosurgical procedures. That's the part that scares me the most, the brain surgery. To find the perfect way. To find the perfect way in which to achieve their goals. In 1953, the agency attempted to purchase the entire world supply of LSD from Sandoz Labs in Switzerland. In fact, for many years, the CIA was the principal source for LSD.
I bet that was some good shit.
Oh, yeah. Fucking straight from the teat.
Get that CIA shit.
Ken Casey, Allen Ginsberg, and Jerry Garcia were all turned on to acid by CIA-funded projects sponsored by such conduits as Stanford University. Stanford University, might also add, is the place where Project Stargate added, I'm pretty sure. I may have that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's where it started.
Stanford's got a lot going on.
Stanford has a long history of, Society for Psychical Research and, like, looking into, human potentiality.
Again, out in the Wild West.
Yep. After a quote-unquote Manchurian candidate has been used as an assassination or assassination attempt, they often retain no actual memory of the event, which might explain the irrational behavior of Charlie's girls. How at one moment they could be
that's
harmless.
what explained their irrational behavior.
How at one moment they could be harmless little flower waifs skipping arm in arm, tossing daisies over their shoulders. Then in the next instant, a knife-wielding nutcase with the lack of any moral accountability.
Wiki.
This is not to say that mind-controlled assassins always compartmentalize the act of murder. In some cases, the memories of murder may seem a dreamlike recollection. This type of mental state is similar to that of the ones exhibited by Tex and the girls during the murders, when everything slowed down and turned surreal like an altered state of consciousness. In the late 1970s, as the CIA and other intelligence agencies came under greater congressional scrutiny, MKUltra experimentation moved out of the laboratories and into the streets, where it would be harder to trace. Religious cults soon became the new MKUltra breeding grounds for psychiatrists to ply their trade, recruiting future Manchurian candidates from counterculture communes / covens, i.e. the Manson family or the aforementioned Jonestown, not to mention various so-called quote-unquote Satanist groups. Paul Krasner soon discovered that trying to connect Nathaniel Dite to Charlie's family would be no easy task. Preston Guillory, for one, didn't recognize the name, nor was Manson copying to knowledge of Dite. The only corroborative evidence was a former neighbor who then presented with Tex Watson's photo, placed him at Dite's residence. Other than that, Krasner thought he'd hit a dead end. That was until he was presented with the opportunity of visiting the Manson girls, Katie, Leslie, and Sadie, in jail. There he asked them if they had ever met Nathaniel Dite, to which they said, "Oh yeah," Sadie replied. "Tex took me to sleep with him, and he gave us dope." In Folsom Prison.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. In Folsom Prison, Charles Manson asked possible CIA asset Tim Leary, when the two were located in cells right next to each other, why he didn't, quote-unquote, use acid to control people. According to John Judge, a protege of Mae Brussell, Charlie's question revealed a basic contradiction, as LSD, in his estimation, would be useless as a control agent, I agree, except to create a state of confusion, I agree. For anyone who's experimented with LSD, it quickly becomes evident that as a mind control tool, it's highly unstable or unreliable. This was discovered during MKUltra's early days when it was tested on numerous unwitting human guinea pigs, including some of the CIA's own agents, without consent, provoking unpredictable.
It's too unpredictable. It's like it's the reason they stopped using PCP as an anesthetic, because
I didn't even know that.
That's what it was invented for. It was an anesthetic to put people. Yeah, because some people it put them under. Some people fucking turn into Superman and want to fucking rape you and throw
your fucking bullets
and fucking take your bullets and fucking I don't know. There's just the video of this one guy that had his guts hanging out, butt naked, running down the street. That is what I think of when I think of PCP. And and they're like, "Yo, homie, you got your guts hanging out." And like the dude's running down the street, butt naked, guts are hanging out because he tried to climb a spiked fence, and his literal intestines were hanging out of his fucking stomach. But he's on that PCP. He's on that Sherm. That Mike, go insert the thing from the thing. You know,
butt naked, ill. Churn, dust, PCP, primo, E-dog. That's what you had. That's what you was smoking. You couldn't taste it.
Let's see. John Judge theorized the types of quote-unquote acid the Mansonoids were using was military weapons grade, unlike the stuff found on the streets. Although called acid, it was actually an MKUltra version, a psilocybin derivative identified as EA1729.
I want to know what the fuck that is.
Yeah, that's like straight to the strain. Fucking like they got that shit down.
Well, it's a chemical fake of psilocybin, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So,
or that they derived LSD and LSD like chemical from it.
I mean,
this is also around the same time that
LSD is just a synthesized fungus.
Yeah, ergot. This is around the same time also that the guy we've talked about before named Andrea Puharich, who was like Uncle Sam's favorite parapsychologist.
Puharich Flavin.
He was the guy who was doing research into mushrooms and was the guy who also, oddly enough, bringing it back together again, was one of the first people who tested the psychic abilities of Peter Hurkos. So, connections. According to Judge, this is the same quote-unquote acid that David Berkowitz was given while in the Army when placed in a special program.
Another one?
Oh, yeah. Reportedly profiled candidates. So the Army was like specially profiling people for like, who can we get for this program? And good old Davy Berkowitz was another one. Mae Brussell was convinced that Berkowitz was yet another in a long list of MKUltra patsies, referring to him as the son of Uncle Sam. Oh, Mae, you fucking brassy bald bitch. By the mid-1960s, at least 1,500 Army personnel were documented as having been used in chemical core LSD experiments, largely without any prior medical, quote-unquote, informed consent. Informed consent, for those who don't know, is what causes... It's basically what makes all the experiments done by the Nazis, all the experiments done by the U.S. military / CIA, etc. So it makes it a war crime. You have no prior informed consent. Eventually, Rolling Stone settled the Dyke case out of court, and Krasner published a letter of retraction. Nowadays, Krasner writes off the whole incident as a paranoid freakout, quote unquote.
Wait. It's not a war crime if it's not a war. It's on your own soil.
Or, I'm sorry.
Crime against humanity?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I would say they're on par.
There's gray areas there. I mean, it's and technically a lot of those people were either prisoners or soldiers, so you kind of
property.
You're property at that point.
He tried to settle the Dyke case out of court, Rolling Stone did, but Krasner published a letter of retraction saying like, "Oh, I was in the middle of a fucking paranoid freak out. I didn't mean any of this stuff, blah, blah, blah." However, when he did that, Mae Brussell felt that Krasner sold out when he began to fear for his life in much the same way that Ed Sanders went into hiding, and that is his only follow-up to The Family, titled The Motive, saw the light of day, or why it didn't. Brussell carried on with her mission, broadcasting the truth, at least is how she saw it, on her weekly radio program, and in the end, this might have been her undoing. Sometime in the mid-1975 area, Brussell received a threatening letter and notified the authorities, who then passed it on to the FBI, released under the Freedom of Information Act. The letter appeared to have been signed.
Fuck off, idiot asshole.
Did you say Indian asshole?
Idiot.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, I'm not. No.
Okay, just checking. It's you. I had to double check.
I got nothing against the Indians.
The letter appeared to have been signed, but the name was blacked out, and it read, "Mae, you're thinking yourself in a circle of madness. Charles Manson has been 28 years in prison, and all that bullshit you were running is a reflection of what the news and books have programmed your soul's brain mind to." That's what the letter says. I'm just quoting. "You are looking for attention. It seems as if you are looking for your death wish in the family." An unrelated FOIA document dated 5 years later referred back to the incident and states that during October and November of 1975, she received threatening letters from, quote-unquote, blacked out members of the Manson family. That's ironic, isn't it? In 1988, Mae Brussell died under what some would call mysterious circumstances, just a few months after canceling her long-running radio program in response to a death threat. Researchers have speculated that Brussell's death was on account of her then topic of concern, satanic cults in the military, which is quite a thing, actually. I'm sure one day, sooner or later, we'll cover Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino. Holy shit, there's a lot of weird stuff in there. Did you know that he gave QAnon the thumbs up before he died?
Aquino?
Yeah.
Well, probably just as a fucking psyop. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I mean, this is a guy who wrote Mind War, etc.
Yeah. I mean, it totally fucked up the minds of a shitload of fucking people.
Operation Mindfuck.
Yeah.
But
I find it quite entertaining. Thank you.
Yeah. Although Brussell's doctor stated it was far more likely the terminal cancer got her, it didn't dissuade conspiracy buffs who were suspected that her cancer had been artificially introduced. Manson was released from prison in 1967 under a parole stipulation that he reported to Roger Smith at the Haight-Ashbury Medical Clinic, a facility sponsored by the National Institute of Mental Health. In recent times, it has been revealed that the National Institute of Mental Health was an MKUltra conduit. Some have suggested that the Haight-Ashbury district was a human guinea pig farm, and that Dr. Lewis Jolyon West, an infamous figure in MKUltra annals, ran a safe house in the Haight during this period where he conducted LSD testing on unwitting dupes.
All right, so that's really interesting. They released him to that area. I don't know where he caught his federal case. I'm very interested. But generally, I don't know about then. It's different now.
I'm pretty sure it was for Los Angeles, and then he went to San Francisco to, like, cool his heels.
Well, but where he caught his federal case.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when you catch your federal case, at least now, I would imagine then too, is they keep you kind of districted.
Yeah.
So
or are supposed to.
Yeah, they're supposed to. So, but he's from the Midwest. Like they release you to where you got ties.
That's true.
So why would they release him specifically in the Haight-Ashbury district?
Yeah.
Like I want to know where he caught his case, because where you catch your case is relative to where you are released, essentially. Or where, but it's even more, at least now, I don't know about then,
yeah,
where you have familial ties or something. to release, because they don't want to release you. It's like, well, you're from fucking goddamn, where was he from? Not Wisconsin.
I want to say Kentucky, but I'm not even sure.
No, it wasn't, because it was somewhere in the Midwest. Ohio? I think it was Ohio, wasn't it?
Maybe.
Anyway.
That's where he'd been imprisoned recently.
Yeah,
Chillicothe.
Yeah. He was from that area. So where did he catch his federal case that got him federally locked up? And I don't even remember what fucking case that was. How we've been doing all this. No, I don't even remember.
Yeah. He's been busted so many times.
Well, yeah. Well, that's But as an adult and then in the feds, that's a big different story.
Yeah.
But the feds picked up a lot of weird cases.
Well, he also had a couple anchor babies, the old keep a Manson baby.
Yeah.
So that might count for familial ties as far as this is concerned.
But it is very interesting they put him in the fucking butthole of the hippie movement.
All the times that they could have fucking retracted him, pulled him back in, and called it off or whatever, or call it off, but
quite suspicious.
Yes, exactly. In the 1990s, Jolyon West, renowned as an expert on cults, became director of the American Family Foundation, which states its official position as an organization dedicated to protect the public from cults. AFF was the mother organization for the Cult Awareness Network, aka CAN. Adding another twist to this already puzzling picture, CAN, during the late 1990s, was taken over by Scientology in a libel suit settlement, which included all of CAN's assets and records on cults, one of which was fucking Scientology.
Wait, you're telling me Scientology absorbed something?
The Cult Awareness Network.
They absorbed a cult awareness through lawsuits. They won a thing that is there to expose them?
Yeah, exactly. Isn't it weird?
Quite amazing.
And for those who don't know, Scientology also engaged in probably the most, I would say, effective government infiltration operation within our
No, they didn't.
Yeah, Operation Snow White. They had people in the IRS. They had people in the FBI.
Okay, but the most effective, Mormons. Of cults.
Okay.
And I know Mormons are considered technically a real religion now.
Yeah.
But come on, everybody. We know they're a cult.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, really,
one ran for
all
president.
all of it's a cult.
Or actually two, I think.
Yeah, Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
Fucking, they own a state, okay?
Yeah,
they got a whole state.
They got a foothold.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, so outside of Mormonism, I would say
Scientology runner-up.
Yeah.
Their second prize pig.
Yes, blue ribbon.
Yeah. Curly Q dick.
Let's see, Rabbi Maurice Davis, another AFF director. Hold on. Worked as a chaplain for the National Institute of Mental Health, then later moved to Indianapolis and sponsored the career of Reverend Jim Jones. The bulk of AFF funding was channeled through the same New York law firm that represented the Process Church in their libel suit against Ed goddamn Sanders over his book, The Family. Whoa, man, that's a lot of fucking connections. We're at almost at 2 hours, so I'm definitely gonna have to do a point.
Spencer
on this.
just snored himself awake.
Yeah.
So let's let this boy go to bed.
Yeah. We're gonna have to cut it short tonight, but I will report the rest, and then after that, as I said, we're coming back with Dr. Seuss and abortion. No, actually, we're doing aliens, but I won't say what about
which aliens. There's so many alien stories.
Oh, you know the ones. No, yeah. This shit goes deeper and wider and crazier and it's fucking insane. But I will say it's also weird that a lot of this stuff has only come to light recently in the aspects that Tom O'Neill, the guy who came out with Operation Chaos,
yes,
he's the guy who reopened this whole thing, and everyone's like, oh shit, Manson was a product. But as it turns out, there was a German writer named, I believe, Carol Green, who was able to sort of speculate all this as well and put it in her book. However, this book was never made public in the English language. So the only place I could find any connection about it was a guy who wrote a book report on it, basically, on the site Arrowhead. Now, for those who don't know...
the drug site.
Yeah, the drug site. Exactly. Fucking, I've been a long time...
Yeah, that's one of the first internet sites I ever learned, because I was trying to learn how to make drugs.
Yes. Yes, it's a fantastic site. If you haven't been, check it out. But either this episode or the 2.5, I'll include the link to the book report. But this woman, Carol Green, she found out most of this stuff. However, I could see how Tom O'Neill might have had to fucking like swim backwards up a fucking shit river to find most of the information that was necessary for him to make his thesis that Charles Manson was indeed a process, or excuse me, Freudian slip, a product of the MKUltra process.
Yes.
So,
Mike has done a beautiful amount of research on this and written a very long, thorough script. And I would
this
love.
is probably the hardest thing I worked on.
It's a lot.
Time.
I'm like, it's a lot. It's a lot. I want to go after you do the solo bit. I want to go do a remix later on, like down the line, and like add my own commentary. That'll be fun.
And if you're listening, I also want to throw a shout out again to Alto Hippie Gabber, one of our YouTube followers. He sent me like some links to a Process Church of the Final Judgment. Like,
we got a guy.
Yeah, like this dude sent me some info on the link. It's a link to a court transcript of what's his name, Ed Sanders being sued by the Process Church of the Final Judgment. I haven't had a chance to go through it all yet because we'll probably do a process thing way down the road.
Yeah, I haven't looked into that one.
But
enough.
goddamn, there's so much crazy shit with that group too. So yeah. Anywho, I'm Mike Lucht. I'm your host, and as always, I'm joined by
Spencer.
Christopher motherfucking Wells.
We record late at night.
Catch us on the Spencer gets up real early.
Yeah.
I get up early, but not that early. Catch us on things I think our Instagram had a trouble.
Yeah, our Instagram got hacked.
We're gonna figure it out.
If you were a fan of ours before the troubles,
yes.
then
but hey, you know what? You can always catch us individually. Christ ACAB. I'm on like all the things. Mike is barely on some stuff, but he's there.
Mick Lucht on Facebook. That's a connection to our Facebook page as well for the show. You can email us at kooksandcranks@gmail.com.
Yeah, do that.
Spencer is at flaccidism.
I'm at
oh, love it.
Yo, send him big old
spit all over this.
girl pics. That's yours. I don't care. It's like that's for
Who's
you.
on this
I just
maggot
planted
ass?
my flag on it.
If
with
you're a big body girl, hit up Spencer at flaccidism. Because that's
I already got a fan club.
yeah, you know.
Ladies,
well,
so.
hey, get it
Hey,
bigger.
We're
Hey,
buying you sex toys. That's a keep.
I
That's just
want
all I'm gonna
the
say.
biggest fan club for Spencer. Let's give this man an
Literally
applause.
and figuratively.
Yeah, the biggest fan club.
But yeah, I'll do a 2.5 to kick off the rest of this, and it's New Year's Eve this week. So if you're listening to this on New Year's Eve,
Yeah, this
or
is New Year's
Day,
Eve.
hey,
So we're
you are the shit, and I love you for it.
rock it.
But yeah, we'll kick out the extra, and then when you hear the three of us together next time again, we're going to be getting into some alien shit that will possibly blow your wiener or mind or something else. Clitoris.
We can't promise any
Whatever.
blowing
Bussy.
wieners.
It might
That-
blow your bussy
I
out.
think this will
Blowing your wieners? That's a Patreon thing, okay?
I meant figuratively. Speaking.
Actually, oh, yeah, wait,
Figuratively.
I guess that would be an only.
It all falls together. But yeah, we'll be getting back into some alien stuff that I think touches on a lot of what's going on lately as well. So for those who listen to our Chuck Mangione
Jewish space lasers.
slash living
Have
plasma,
nothing to do with it,
slash
actually.
drones, etc. They might. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, look.
Could be.
Look.
But it's not specifically all the Jewish space lasers just fall.
They come into play. I'm sure. There's always a way to link them.
Right.
That
it's all
is-
in how creative you can be.
Hey, you don't have to. Honestly, you don't have to be that
The
creative.
protocols of the elders of Zion.
Okay, that's creative. But let's blame that on the Soviets, okay? That was communist propaganda.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, thanks for listening, and we will catch you next episode, and we will close out on Manson.
Happy New Year, fuckers!
Sweet
Woo!
dreams.
Hey, yeah, don't get it on you. Thank you. God bless.
Butt naked, ill, churn, dust, PCP.